Tsunami and left sickness, danger valley. Quick to transgress, playing with fire continually. The retinal scans as them advance other technology. Where this the Holy One who is the Almighty. Some serial killers, company, woman, laboratory. Eugenics project, side effect, torment the baby. Medicinal bag of chips with baby, greedy dummy. Marionette of the money, the money power hungry. Already, insanity tail a customizing species. First the other interfere where they should not be. Backfire sit down patience in a them lobby. There's repercussion for just the acts of iniquity. In your cup of indignation there's no pity. There's no remorse and no way out and no sympathy. Continue to run your mouth and now you're gonna sleep. Money-wise, you itching to be destructive. Never have nothing good to give. Blatant with your negative. Wolf away, wolf floating. Wickedly inquisitive. My life is your prerogative. Don't need to be instructive. Don't try tell me how to live. The vision is so distorted. The mission was interrupted. Curtain coming down and them you don't get your moment of fame. Things they call an act of God, merely an act of man trying to be God. Set up that anti-life of illusion and invited the whole world to them yard. Subliminal messages intruding so rude when invading the thoughts. The one go silence the lamp, but the lamp protected by thy hand. That anti-life of illusion and invited the whole world to them yard. Subliminal messages intruding so rude when invading the thoughts. The one go silence the lamp, but the lamp protected by thy hand.
Shalom, Mishpachah.
Shalom, family. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Hallelujah. All praise to our King. Welcome back, family, to another Friday Night Live. Greetings in the name of our King worldwide, to the Mishpachah down in the Caribbean. Shalom, shalom. The families over in South and Central America, shalom and welcome. The Mishpachah right here in these divided states of America, shalom to each and every one of you. across the border in Canada, shalom. In Africa, shalom. In Europe, shalom. The Middle East, shalom. The Far East and every island of the sea, we greet you all by saying Happy Friday Night Live. Hallelujah. We thank the Most High for his loving kindness and his mercies, which endure forever, for giving us one more day and night of life that we can be here together. After all the week's horrors that has occurred, news and everything else, we could have been resting in the dirt. But we're grateful to our King that he has given us life and life more abundantly, that we can continue on this road to Zion. Hallelujah. So I pray that everyone is in excellent health and welcome. And those of you who are here for the first time, welcome also. I pray that the Most High will increase your understanding and draw you closer to him. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So tonight we got continuation of Brother O'Shea's class, but before we get started, we're going to have a word of prayer, and we'll ask Elder to open up with a short prayer. Hallelujah.
Almighty Father in heaven, be gracious, we thank you, Father, for your love and kindness, your tender mercies throughout the hours of the day, for watching and protecting each and every one of us. At this time, we want to thank you for gathering us again on this Friday Night Live. We pray, Holy Father, that thou may be with us during the service on the internet. Allowed everything to go well. Bless every one of us. Remember the sick. We pray that thou may touch the bodies, that they may be healed. Father, give you thanks and praise. All of us that gather together to participate tonight in this wonderful teaching. Continuing, we pray that thou may bless our teachers. Brother Yana, speak to him, through him. Brother O'Shea, likewise, allow the reading and the words will come out fluently. That at the end of the meeting service today, we all will say, thank you, Father. Be with us, continue to guide us, because we thank you. Through your Son, Yeshua, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you, Elder. Yes, brethren. So before we get started, I'm still in YouTube jail. And I think they said about 3 more days I'll be released from prison.
You need a lawyer?
Well, my lawyer's up on high. I had appealed to Caesar, to YouTube Caesar, and Caesar says the same thing, that I need to go to prison for medical misinformation. But I do believe that it's a targeted issue. Today, this morning, they removed another video. So yesterday they removed 2 videos. Today they removed 1, and a few days ago they removed 1 video and the strike and all kinds of stuff. So I think it's a targeted. Maybe it's disgruntled Israelite who is just trying to shut everything down by creating, those kinds of problems. Sometimes you have vindictive spirits out there that they're hurt, they're broken. Something is bugging them, which is Satan, the devil, and they can't do anything but the job of Judas, which is go out and do it quickly, as quickly as possible. And when they come to the senses, they want to bring back their silver and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. And then, it's too late. You already done betray. You already done your damage, because we do news reports and it's all from reputable sources.
Yeah, we're sourcing it. And like we're just making something
We don't
up.
just sit there and say, brother Shea, put out a report. What do you think about Fauci flu? And just put out. No, we gather information that's out there, so that, because what's the sense of me saying about checking upstream before drinking downstream, and I'm making stuff up.
I think they just don't want the information out. So by any means necessary, they're going to find all kind of excuse and say that we are spreading medical misinformation, but yet we're quoting it verbatim from sources, credible sources, that say this is what it is. So all we're doing is just taking what we see and putting it back out there so you can get the same information that we're seeing.
Yeah. We're just relaying information to you, and you're able to go out and check it out for yourself. And and that's it. And basically, you make the decision on your own, right? Whether you're gonna hear or forbear. I mean, everyone needs to know what's out there so that you can make a decision for your own life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so why we are supposed to be people of the book, meaning that we're not supposed to put unclean things in our bodies. And the doctors are saying that these vaccines and these different things have animals products and cells and all kinds of different things in it. I mean, if a cell, science taught me in school, a cell multiplies, divides, and multiply until it becomes a huge being. When it's a plant cell or a human cell, right? Even chemicals, they can splice it and do different things. So if that's the truth, right? A cell. So if you take in a cell or a tiny portion, which consists of cells, and put that into a product called a vaccine, don't tell me that it's not a whole cow that's in there, because it takes a cell to make a whole cow. It takes a cell to make a whole pig. So you're telling me that it's not a pig when your science is teaching me that cells divide and multiply? Come on now, you think I'm dumb? And that's the point. So so the Spirit of the Most High reveals these things, and basically they hate the Most High. It could be them, or it could be a very disgruntled Hebrew, because we come across Hebrews all the time who they like, like those big dogs who, when they fight, they lick you all up with all the slop and everything else, all the shalom slop. They put all of your bodies dripping all over you, and then later on they bite you. They bite you. They don't want to be corrected. And so there are some people who are like that. I'm not saying calling out people dogs, but I'm saying like, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another issue that, but nevertheless, Mishpachah, we will talk a little bit more about this on Shabbat. But nevertheless, I am working on our website, and all the videos is going to be up on that. And it'll be broken down. So I'm going to spend some time trying to get the website where it needs to go. And so all I'm going to do on YouTube is just well, you know what? I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it alone. Okay. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it alone, and you'll see for your own self. So for those who are brokenhearted, bitter, I pray for you. I forgive you, and I pray for your health. I pray that the Most High open your eyes, that you can see, because we have one Judas that's written there, but there are many instances of this type of spirit. And I pray that you come to the knowledge of truth, whoever you are, and that the Most High will cause you to repent. Because after all, I mean, we want to see our people saved, right? And that's the bottom line. So tonight, just following up with the Mishpachah, the studies about family and building family and so forth. Brother Shea is going to continue with part 2 with the solution. Last week he did the problem. This week he's going to be doing the solution, and it's all based on the Torah. You cannot make an argument with us. Don't come and bring your Christian persuasion, your Gentile persuasion. You can't, why take a book, an ancient scroll or scrolls that it was compiled together of a people who had a certain lifestyle, who acted out a certain way. And in those scrolls, it says that the future kingdom will also be set up in the same manner. And then you come in and it says, well, there's dispensation. The church fathers did this. I don't care. The church fathers is not going to give me eternal life. There's nothing nowhere in the Bible speaking about dispensation. If that's what you want to use, you're in the wrong place. All of these things do not matter at all. Okay, because the Bible says precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. It didn't say anything about over there a little, and over there a precept, and over somewhere else and go. It doesn't say that. It gave us exactly where we need to stay. The Most High said it's not it's somewhere up in heaven where you say, oh, who's going to get it for me? Or somewhere deep in the ocean, who's going to go down to get it? It's right here. All right? And I know there are a lot of hurt people. There are a lot of people who are nervous about keeping the scriptures. That I know. The part that they don't like me to talk about is that they're never nervous when it comes to taking chances at work. They're never nervous when they're taking the chances on the road to drive or flying a plane. Imagine, you don't know the captain. You never sat down and ate with him. You don't know the flight crew, but you go on board and you sit your behind down and you all your faith is put out. Oh, I believe so much. I'm going to get to my destination. I'm going to see my family. You don't know if you're going to live or die. But you put so much trust and faith in your pilot, right? Who don't care about salvation, nothing about you. But when it comes to the word of the Most High, for some reason, you sit down and you knit the picks. Or you pick the knits.
That's true.
Right? You start, this is a gnat, and this is the wings of a gnat, and I don't like this, I don't like that. That's the problem with Israel. So, brothers and sisters, if you got that spirit, if you're feeling uncomfortable with the word, check yourself. And if you can't check yourself, then you can go. It's plain and simple. All right? There's no need to start any trouble here. We're not here to be Aaron's, the people's pastor who would compromise and give the people what they want. Okay? So with that said, Brother Shayo, you're all set? Ready?
Yeah, shalom, Mishpachah. Shalom and welcome again. As you were saying that, I was thinking of people trying to adjust themselves, or no, I should say, adjust the bench or the seat to their liking. In other words, the Most High put a chair or a bench that is designed specifically of truth. But when they sit in it, they are very uncomfortable. They're trying to find a way to make it comfortable for them. In other words, what is written, we have to go by what's written, not in how we feel and what makes us comfortable. So when the Most High put things there for us, we have to live with it. In this part too, it's about bringing out the information for our families, because at the end of the day, we're trying to get into the Most High's kingdom that He has set up for us as His people. And everything that we're doing here is like a practice. It's like, we're trying to do the right things based upon what we have. Now, He's going to come and He's going to teach us the correct way of doing it. But in the meantime, He wants to see what we can do by ourselves. He put everything there for us. There's no excuse. But we find we put ourselves in the front, and we create the problems and the issues. So when it comes to the laws, the statutes and commandments, I always tell people it's our lifestyle, it's our culture, because that's what makes us. The law is what Israel is. It's our culture. Without the law, we don't have a culture. And the other nations, they have records of us. And every time they look back, they say, those people and those laws, they go hand in hand. When we remove those laws from these people, they're nothing. When they keep those laws, they're the most beautiful people, the most protected, the most blessed people. And that is what makes us the Torah, the keeping of the laws. So all we're trying to do is get back to keeping those laws 100. And it becomes a problem with the world because we want to be a part of the world and say we want to be a part of the Most High. Another thing before we start, when it comes to faith, when it comes to believing in what we are talking about here, a lot of our people are just that. They're just talkers. They're not doers.
That's right.
Because in one mouth they'll say, yeah, I love Yahuwah, I love the Lord, I'll do everything. And the minute the Most High put you in a little squeeze, they lose all their faith. Now they run back to everything that they're used to doing on their own.
Sometimes they don't even have a squeeze. I think squeezes are good to develop, experience. that you can be strong in this walk, because the apostles, the prophets, they didn't have it easy. They got squeezed many times and it made them better people.
That's right.
But they don't even have that. They, it's like someone that go and scratch themselves and say, yeah, this is a wound from the battlefield. And they never even seen the battlefield.
They didn't even step out the door. And that's the problem here. Remember, we have example after example. Look at Job. The Most High tell the devil, don't touch his body. You can touch everything else. That was a real squeeze. One after the next, news after news after news after news came down the pipeline, and he still didn't break or bend. But the minute somebody loses a job, or they find out they lost a loved one, or their car break down, or they run out of money, or whatever little thing, they're ready to give up and say, well, I got to do it my way. The Most High obviously is not working. You don't know where he's putting you or what he's setting you up for, but yet you can't even depend on him. So we have to consider all these things as we're trying to walk this walk. So part 2, we're going to look at the solution tonight. I'm going to go into some videos. We have a lot of videos to cover. It's 5-minute videos. We have 8 of them, and we're going to get into it because there's a lot of very good information that we need to learn, Mishpachah. So first slide we're going to get into here, it's Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verses 9.
Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of your vanity, which he have given you under the sun, all the days of your vanity, for that is your portion in this life, in your labor which you takest under the sun.
Now you could put also your husband in this verse. You could interchange it, husband, wife, however you want to put it. But it's to say, live joyfully with the person who you love us all the days of your life. Everything that we have in this world is just what it is, vanity. It's just a test that we're going through to see what we are made of. Are we going to be faithful at the end of the day? Because we have our own journey made of equity. Our life is our life. My life is not Rebbe's life, or it's not Ella's life. Ella already living his life, and he's living through his life. Rebbe's living through his life. We're all different, trying to attain the same goal, which is entering the kingdom in righteousness. So what am I going to do? What are you going to do? It's telling us to live joyfully, and it goes on to tell us more. So where do we begin? Where do we begin with finding the solutions to a lot of the problems that we have? Proverbs 18 and verse 22.
Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaining favor of Yahuwah.
So the first thing of business is to know what your reason is for being in a relationship. That's the first order of business. What is your reason for being in a relationship? Because at the end of the day, what are you trying to do? When the Most High created Eve for Adam, there was a purpose for creating Eve for Adam. He didn't just say, let's just add another add-on just because. But there's a purpose. He gave Adam this complete list and task to do. And in that, he's like, okay, you know what? He's going to need some help to do all of this stuff here. So let's bring him a helpmeet. And on top of that, let's give him some comfort with it.
Did you put the scripture where the Most High made that statement of the reason? Did you have that in there too? Well, because in the book of Genesis, it tells you that he says it's not good for the man to be alone. And the question is, was Adam really alone? If the Most High, because you have a lot of people who walk around, Yah is my husband. That group, for some reason, Yah is always a husband, but Yah himself said, it's not good for the man to be alone. If he's saying that to the man, Adam didn't even know what a female was. What's a female?
No idea, no clue.
If somebody walked up to Adam, well, there's no one, but if an angel showed up, hey, Adam, what's a female? He's like, huh? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. There was no definition. There was no counterpart. There was no
to him, to
Adam at the time. So there was nothing to really The only thing is that he could look at it as the animals
And say the female.
and say,
for
well,
that.
that's something that animals have, and that's what animals go through. But as far as relationship was concerned, it was the Most High who used to have these talks with Adam, right? And so if he saw the need for a man not to be alone, because we all have a tendency to say, I don't need anybody. But in truth, who knows really our hearts, our design? You know what I mean? It's like you cannot outrun the will of the Most High or the plan of the Most High. He knows that we should not be alone.
And that's the thing. People in their own mind and their own power to their own selves, they believe that they can do it on their own.
Even
Me,
the Most High,
myself, and I.
even the Most High is not alone. Look how many thousands of angels that he have. If one angel can do so much damage, why would he need so many other angels? Just think about that. I don't know if you want to pull it up.
Let's pull it up.
Why does he himself need to have let us. Genesis chapter 2.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that should be the question that many people need to look at, because when people open their mouth and start speaking about Yah is my husband, but then every time they'll keep looking for companionship, it don't make any sense. Basically, what they're saying is that they don't want authority.
That's what it is.
They want to answer only to God. But when God is telling them this is the order, they're like, no, I'm answering to you, God.
That's the key right there. The order is what the people without Torah want. They don't want the order. So they don't want to answer to no authority or answer to anyone. They want the responsibility on them own selves.
It says, verses 18, and Yahuwah Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. You see what he said? It is what? Not good. Not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help meet for him. That's a very powerful statement, because in itself, every tool is not designed for every situation. A tool is made specifically, like you have cars that have tools made specially for that.
That particular
And
design.
I think that your class is about the right fit.
That's right.
Okay.
So we see here that in the beginning, when we start, we have to understand the reason of the relationship, of getting into that. The Most High already established that we should be together because it is good for us to be together. But now the question is, what fits with what as far as the order of business is? In other words, every household is different. We keep in the same Torah, but like again, we are one body, but you have various members in the body. You have a hand, and a hand has 5 fingers. You have so many different bones and nerves and muscles in that one hand that operate and function just for that hand. But it will not operate and function for the elbow or for your shoulder or for your rib cage. Different, altogether different instructions given to this particular piece of the body. So again, all coming together for one purpose. So what is your reason to start a relationship? Do you want children, or just simply a covering or companionship? Because you have to understand the level of where you are in your relationship. If you're younger, you're going to want to have a family. You're going to want to have children. You want to have companionship. If you're older and a spouse has passed away, or in some cases you're separated because of whatever reasons, people need companionship.
Speaking of which, Emo, do you mind if I share the story we talked about earlier? There was a brother who had married an older sister, and the age was way apart from each other. He was how old at the time, Ema?
He was like in his 40s.
He was 49 years old, and she was what?
She's like 200. No, I said 200.
Come on.
Okay, go ahead.
Relax. She was how old? She was 84 at the time. He was 49 and she was 84. She is almost about to make 102 years old. and the guy is in his 60s now, and guess what? He's still there with her.
Yes.
And he takes care of her, and he loves her. Now, at the time when she was 84, she was taking good care of herself.
Yeah.
She dressed nice. She smelled nice. She looked good for her age. She even looked better than her own daughter.
Yes.
At the time. Even her own granddaughter. She kept herself very well kept. And some of y'all think when you pass a certain age, just give up. Just just take all the different things
And throw it away.
that's supposed to make you beautiful and just throw out the window. No, you can still, your body's alive. You can still make yourself look good. You can exercise, eat right, sleep right, and just have a good attitude about yourself and all these different things. She was in her 80s. He was in his 40s. And he decided, and everybody in that church was criticizing the brother, like, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy, right? And they were saying all kinds of stuff to discourage the brother. But you know what? A lot of people who were in so-called knit together or in equally yoked found out real quick that they didn't have a marriage. But that brother and his wife is still married.
Hallelujah.
Imagine that, Ima. Still married after all those years, and she's in a wheelchair now, and he still goes to work and comes home, take care of her as like normal. He don't care about how old she is. And guess what? It's not about money because none of them have money. They're hardworking people.
Yeah.
Both of them are just regular
Folks.
Paul without the R.
Now, I say she's 200 years old because when I was younger, she to me, she hasn't aged. It's like every time I was growing up, she looked the same. And she was old when I was young. And so I always tell her every time I see her, you're like 100, 200 years old every time I see you. You know, but she looks good for her age. So again, it is the reasoning or the necessity or the needs of what that person needs for their home to put in their order. So is it children? Is it a covering? Is it companionship? These are things that you have to ask yourself.
But you know what? That doesn't mean, sisters, that you should wait till 84 to make a decision. Okay? I know some of y'all are slick. But Yona is not going to allow y'all that opportunity to slide away. Be slick, right? Don't think just because this woman found a husband that was way younger than her that you're going to think, you know what?
I'm going to wait.
I'm going to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I might be lucky enough.
I'll just wait until then.
So what is the reasoning for it? Men, do you have a vision? This is where we begin. Men, do you have a vision? In other words, you can't hire a woman to come join your homes if you have no vision. You understand what I'm saying? So you go to a company that say, just open. You go to apply. Okay, what are we doing here? I don't know. I just opened a store. I don't know what I'm selling.
You hire an artist who can't see, and he's supposed to paint you something.
You don't know what you're selling. You don't know what product you have. You don't even know the employees. You don't know what you. In other words, what's the reason the store is there for? So, what is your vision as a man that you're coming and saying, "I want to have my home. I want to build my home." What structure do you have? What are you building your foundation on? A bright future ahead or unknown danger? This is the first question that we as men have to have first before we even think about talking about getting into a relationship. Because all you're going to do is do more damage, not only to yourself, but to the people around you. And in Christianity, they don't teach you these things. They just tell you, oh, you like that girl? You like that guy? Y'all look good together.
And you're in the same church.
Yeah.
So as long as you're in the same church, you're equally yoked.
And that's it.
That's it. That's the bottom line. You know, or if the church has many cliques and many little clubs and clubettes, so what do you call it? Little clubs?
Clubs, groups, gangs,
whatever,
affiliations.
Little groups within a church, based upon the church, the group, you might be equally yoked or not equally yoked. So if this person is part of a certain social circle, and this other group opposes each other, and It's almost like West Side Story in the church.
Going back and forth. So men, we have to have a vision. So a man with a vision simply means productivity, because you're not idle. You're not sitting around just playing video games. You're not just home on your mother's couch or your father's couch. You actually have a purpose to perform, to do something, to bring forth life. Planning, preparation, and performance. So you're going to sit down and say, you know what? This is what I would like to have. My father had this, and he was very successful. I could see myself doing that, or even a little better than that, or taking on his business and pushing it more. So what I'm going to do is I'm preparing myself. I'm going to go and learn from him or my uncle, or you learn from another source to get the knowledge and the information. After you put all that work in, what are you going to do? Perform. But today, what they do, they go to school, they get all the degrees. That's what they call preparedness.
Degrees, not the degrees, degrees.
But there is no performing. There is no jobs that so you go to school 4 years here, and you're like, you know what, I changed my mind, I don't want to do that. Then you go to school for another thing, you change your mind, you don't want to do that.
I know a few people who actually was experimenting. I don't know where they got the money from, but when they finished the course, they just lost interest and they switched up to something else, and they just keep doing that all the time. And then at the end of the day, they have nothing to really show for it.
They use the excuse as to say society changes, so as society changes, they have to change. That sounds like you living on the waves. As the wave is moving, you're just going to move. That's unstable. You have to have some sort of foundation when you're building your home. That's why Yeshua says, don't build your house on the sand, build it on the rock, meaning you're going to have stability. So you can't go according to the times and say, okay, just because a few years ago, it was a construction boom, so I'm going to do construction. Now we're going to do video games. Since the vid happened, we're going to work from home, and I'm going to do streaming. And you just flowing all over the place. Not to say that you can't be flexible, but I'm saying you have to have some stable foundation where you are always putting out what you're learning.
But even with visions, there are adjustments that you're going to make accordingly. So you have a goal, you have a place that you want to go, that you see.
Right.
And then as you're moving forward, you may not have concrete, you use wood. Right? You may not have certain things, you try to use those things to get to where you need to go. Sometimes people want to wait till they get everything together before they can make a move. And in life, it doesn't work like that. Okay? You have to make the necessary leap of faith.
Right.
That's what we have to do. And if you look at the old people, like you showed that picture with the old guy and gal, right? In the old days, that's what people did. They didn't have a whole lot of resources like today. They didn't have colleges. They didn't have access to a lot of information, how to do this. They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have people to just give them a whole lot of knowledge, but they took steps. If the wife had a little bit more head knowledge, she doesn't look down on her husband. She says, okay, babe, this is what we're going to do, and help him to fulfill that vision. And he put the muscle behind it. They work together and they move forward. Today, it's more like a competition. And that's a product of the system. We're going to get into that with the videos too. But as you're talking about having that goal, this goes to having a vision is having the ability or an instance of great perception. So you're looking towards the future for something, especially of future developments. So what is your goal? Because like I said, along the way, things can change depending on environment, depending on different things happening. But your eye is still on the goal. You have a set to say, I'm going to become this, I'm going to work towards that goal, and I'm going to put all into it and make it happen. So knowing and understanding where he is going with the ability to lead others there. Because if I don't know where I'm going, then it's like you talk about getting on the plane. Everyone aboard. Just get on the plane. Yeah, just pick a plane and go and just, I got a ticket. Okay. You know what? That plane is boarding. Just walk on there. Nobody's checking anything. Just go.
No signs. The saying in the military, destination unknown. You just get on the plane and wherever they take you, you go.
I want to say something about the vision part, right? Of great perception. So that's one handicap if the guy doesn't have a vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also something called blinders. That's also an impairment of vision. So he may not have a vision. That's terrible, right? That's bad. But if he has a vision and the person who's supposed to be quote unquote the help meet is blocking that vision, that's a blinder. So you can't move ahead. You need a help meet to get that thing to come to pass. If someone is telling you no, can't do, no, can't do, no, can't do, that's a vision blocker. That's an impairment, brothers and sisters, right? So you don't want to. Who would want to hire someone that says you can't sell X amount of product in one day when you know it can be done? When you've already tested the waters and you prove it, so you just need help to get the product out, and it says no, can't get it done. It's too hot. It's too cold. I look at Chick-fil-A, for example. They're always pushing product. Every time you go to Chick-fil-A, you pass around where Chick-fil-A is, you see lines of cars, right? You got two, and not just one, two rows, right? And you have a whole bunch of employees outside walking up to the vehicle, asking different things, right? And there are people inside the store too. It's always pushing product. And whether it's cold or hot, when it's hot, they got fans there. So you can't say, well, it's too hot. Fan is blowing on you. Or they have mist water coming out to keep them cool. And they're pushing product all day.
Different ways to capture the attention or be ahead of their competitors. That way they can bring in product, and that way they can sell and grow, have growth, because that's what it is attracting the right people to bring that growth in.
I like what Brother Pincus says here. He says the jack of all trades statement is incomplete and not negative in context. The full statement, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. That's good. So you may be the jack of all trades. You're not a master of everything, but at least it's better than not just having one trade.
Yep.
You can still help yourself and do other things, you know.
And there's nothing wrong with having all of those different abilities to be flexible. And that's what society wants you to do. Just have one. That way there's no growth that you have to come to someone else. But in past time, everyone learned many different things. That way you're able to help the family grow. So if mom or dad is sick, you are able to know what 2 herbs to rub together to bring back the health. You know exactly how to plow the fields. You know exactly how to put some oil in the car or whatever it is, because you were taught. Yes, Ima. Shalom.
Shalom, brethren. I just was here. Now you're speaking about that. I looking at Eldon and thinking about, how he was, because when he doing carpentry and it go down, he do driving, and when that go down, he do painting. So he was always busy.
Flexible, yeah.
Yes.
Flexible and getting work. It's only now that
He's retired. He's not tired.
busy.
He's just retired. Every time he just goes back and
Yes.
Everywhere work is, he would travel to go.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
Yeah. So understanding that you have a goal to acquire, there are things that keeps you on the path to getting that goal. Not only are you keeping busy or working towards that goal, but you do things to keep you busy, occupy your time, because you don't want to be idle. This is where a lot of problems come in. And we're going to get to that later on, but let's move forward. In other words, what are you building? So as a man, you have to know what you're building. What do you need help with? Are you a vagabond or a hobo Hebrew? Read the definition of vagabond for me.
A person who wanders from place to place without a fixed home.
So that's a vagabond, right? What's the hobo Hebrew?
A homeless and usually penniless wanderer.
So basically, you don't have any goals or desires. You're just around the place, taking up space. Like I had a friend of mine who was working. He says, "Yeah, I'm just here." He told the boss, he says, "Yeah, I'm just here, just breathing your ear." So, are you a vagabond or a hobo Hebrew?
I want to say something in vagabond. So a vagabond could have money. He's just wandering from place to place without a fixed home. Whereas a hobo doesn't have a home and is broke.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? Huh?
So yeah, so it covers both. So what are we building towards? What's your goal? What do you need help with? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself before getting into a relationship. Help wanted. Is it a helpmeet or a helpmate? Well, that's the question. Women, whose vision, so for the sisters now, whose vision would you like to be a part of? So for the men first, what vision do you have? And for the women now, whose vision would you like to be a part of? What do you bring to the table? Are you trained properly for that position? If not, are you teachable? Because, some people think that because they learn how to be a librarian here, they can take those skills and now they can run the business as a librarian. Not knowing that, to some degree you can fit one or two pieces here because you can answer a phone. Okay, answer the phone. You can do a little data to type in, 100 words per minute or whatever it is. Okay, check. You can take notes, okay, check. But are you organized? Can you balance the checkbook? Can you run 10 people or 20 people and manage them? Can you do the payroll? There's a whole lot of different things that come with management. Can you order the supplies? All kinds of different things that you have to factor in.
Management. That is that's the Proverbs 31 part, management.
So these are things that we have to factor in as we are getting into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Are you teachable or are you trained in that position? So a person who is let's say a person who just came into the field one day and they're like, okay, I put a Band-Aid on Rebbe because he got a scratch on his hand. So now I'm a doctor. So now you're ready to do surgery. You can do open heart surgery and brain surgery because you put a Band-Aid on the brother. You're not trained for that position. So those are things that we have to factor in as we are getting into this relationship. All right, we're gonna look at the first video. Fair use.
At this point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to say fair use. Just play the video. We don't care. We're just gonna teach, and they'll get whatever's coming.
It seems like it's
all right. So this is Dr. Umar Johnson, and he has some good things. Now, from his perspective on the social and physical things of relationships, he's dead on point. We have the spiritual side to it. So what I'm doing is combining the Torah to what he's saying to kind of give us a better perspective on understanding it, understanding relationship and life itself, because a lot of times we just take things for, as it is and run with it. So this gentleman here is interviewing Dr. Umar Johnson. He's a psychiatrist.
Again, it's not like if we agree with his whole ideology, okay? Because he can be right about certain things and other things he can be totally wrong. But in this case, Brother Shea is sharing something that goes along with your class, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna watch these first two videos and gain some insight on some things he's saying.
truly a great divide between Black men and women today, especially in the space of love and relationships.
Correct.
It just seems like we don't have a ton of trust among one another. Everybody is very cynical about long-term relationships. And this is, I would call it a major crisis right now in our community.
I would agree with that.
We already know we have an economic crisis in the community. But now we see that this family and this relational crisis that we have that's rising. Which one would you say is greater right now?
I'm gonna pause here real quick. So in understanding the solution is always the Torah for our people. That's the foundation of the basis of how relationships should be built. So going forward, you keep that in the back of your head as you're listening.
As far as an issue or potential issue for the future of our relationships and our family?
I would say that they're related. If we look at this in its proper context, we go back and we see that the rise of the single Black mother-led household doesn't begin until the 70s. Up until then, most of our homes had a mother and a father. So slavery didn't destroy the Black family. We stayed married through slavery. I know my ancestors in particular, they kept the family together through slavery. So it wasn't slavery that did it. It was the economic disintegration of the Black community. So after they assassinated Dr. King, the US government decided upon a policy to destroy the Black man's ability to fund any future civil rights efforts. So they came into the inner cities and they took out all the factory jobs, stripped the Black man of his ability to earn. Remember, up until the 70s, they were not pushing go to college in order to be a success. You could live a decent life working in any of the major inner cities as a laborer. So they took that out. Then they went into the high schools and stripped the high schools of the industrial building training program.
And you remember in school growing up, we had voc ed, we had different things that you learn, home ec, how to sew, how to cook, how to build, mechanics, all those things. You remember, right? You don't find it in schools at all.
Job Corps. Job Corps was for the knuckleheads, but I know a lot of youth who went away for Job Corps. When it came back, they were working, building air conditions,
disciplined.
Yeah, they got the craziness out of their system and they were disciplined.
So carpentry, auto mechanic, welding, roofing, electric, plumbing, they took all that out. Those was the skills that paid the bills. In essence, what they did was they made the Black man economically irrelevant to the Black woman. I want to say that one more time. The 70s was the beginning of the process of making the Black man economically irrelevant to the Black woman. A man's primary responsibility is to protect and to provide. We can protect, but the providing is the issue. Now, you fast forward that 65 years until now, since Dr. King's assassination, a lot of our women don't understand the political history that brought about the economic devastation of the Black male. If my woman makes more money than me, that in and of itself is not a problem, unless she attributes the reason she makes more money than me to the fact that I'm lazy, I'm shiftless, I'm irresponsible, I'm unaccountable. It's the interpretation of the reality that's our problem. Because if my woman makes more money than me, then so be it. That shouldn't necessarily be an issue unless she feels some types of way about that, or if I feel some type of way about that, because it does go both ways. You have sisters who feel like they can emotionally abuse and emasculate brothers if they have more education and income. On the flip side, you got brothers who cannot accept a relationship where the woman out earns and out educates him. So it can go both ways. But that economic piece is major because we're the only men in America who are out earned by our women. We're the only ones. And it's by design. Now, when you come to YouTube and you see the back and forth banter between the men and the women, a lot of that is due to poor political education and understanding of the reality. But another part of it is trauma. See, we got to understand when we get emotional, we're dealing with our unconscious pains and memories. Nobody's in the present moment when you get emotional. The minute you are overrun by your emotions, that's your trauma talking. And one of the reasons Black male-female relationships are so dysfunctional is you got traumatic man trying to relate to traumatic woman. Neither one of them is dealing with the person across the table because they're both reacting from past hurt, which is why I believe that when you get out of one relationship before you go into another one, you need a period of healing, because if in fact you were in love, it's going to take you a while to heal your soul back, because love is the process of two becoming one. So if that was really love before you move on, you got to take a break and heal. The problem, gentlemen, is we don't like to take the break and heal. And the reason why Black men and Black women don't like to take the break to heal is when you are in solitude. And this is why spirituality functions on a foundation of solitude.
Now listen to what he's saying, because this is very important. This is why when you go to fast, that's why Yeshua, he went away from everyone, because there's this connection that happens, that everything now is focused on what's in front of you. You don't have no excuse, no distraction. So this is what he's saying.
The wilderness.
When you are alone, your soul forces to the surface issues in your life that you need to address that you don't feel like addressing. So the reason I'm rushing out to get another woman isn't because I'm ready to build another relationship. It's because when I'm home alone, I deal with my abandonment of my mother. I deal with my sexual abuse of my uncle. I deal with the emotional emasculation I suffered from my mother. I'm dealing with the bullying from my siblings. You see that?
Yeah.
So how do you escape your internal demons? You run out and you date. And so in the Black community, dating and mating has become the newest drug. It's how we escape from taking responsibility for our emotional health.
Wow.
Now that's video 1. Before we start video 2, so you listen to hear what he said carefully. You have to get yourself in order first, because at times we want to jump around because this is not working out. Let me just go to this next place. You have to fix what's in you first. And a lot of times we don't want to face those past issues that we grew up with. And we all know individually what is the problem, but we don't want to fix it. You have to come to reality and says, this is what my problem is. I need to fix it before I move on. So it's like you having a car, and that car has a bad hub on the wheel. You can't put a new tire on there and expect it to work fine. It's going to eventually run yourself off the road. You got to fix that wheel itself before you can operate that car. So knowing that you have an issue within internally, whether it's from a childhood or something recent that happened, you have to fix that first before getting into a relationship.
I don't know if you can pull up Psalms 107. Psalms 107 and 20. Because while the Dr. Umar is bringing those points out, we must, from the Hebraic perspective, fill a void. If you look around his neck, you can see one thing. The words of what he's saying is definitely something that we need to look at. But here's since we're talking about solution, Psalms 107 and 20 says, he sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destructions, right? So the word of the Most High, when he's talking about trauma, and also before you go into a relationship and things of that nature, he's talking about solitude. The solitude should be a time where the word of the Most High is going to bring us that healing that we need,
right,
to deliver us from destruction. So if we don't have those answers from the word of the Most High, we're going to gravitate back into the psychology of men.
Right.
We want to be able to gravitate towards the Most High's healing. So he's pointing out some very important things. But remember, Mr. Picard, in order for us to have resolution to the things that he's pointing out, we need the word of the Most High.
That's right.
Okay.
So we have to fall back on the Torah itself.
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at video number 2.
My issue is, do you see us preparing for the resolve? Do we have things in place right now for us to have realistic solution?
So again, the Torah is our solution. Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments is where we're supposed to be. So remember this as we're going through this class and everything in the future. Torah is key. Torah is key. Okay?
I don't think so. And the reason why I don't believe we are there yet, if I look at it from a therapeutic standpoint, in order for me to get to a place of resolve, to a place of solution, I have to be willing to empathically hear the other side out. We don't hear the other side. We talk to each other, but we do not listen. It's yelling. The women are yelling at the brothers. The brothers are yelling at the women. I have yet to hear a serious conversation on YouTube that involved reflective listening. So, sister, based on what you're telling me, you hurt because you have had man after man come into your life, use you for your physical assets, and failed to invest in you as a woman. Am I hearing you? Yes, you're hearing me.
And then there's where you bring in the word. This is the reason why this is happening amongst our people. Because again, we are basing everything off of a system that we grew up in, and whatever culture we come from,
world structure,
right? Wherever if we're from Canada, if you're here in the Americas, if you're in the continent of Africa, in Europe, in the Caribbean, wherever you are, we're basing those things off of society and culture from their perspectives. But we have our own culture, which is the basis of Torah, and this is where we're trying to instill and relearn.
Yeah, the solutions that is found in the Torah, the Most High made it very clear. There's nobody who understands perfect psychology, if that's a word, right? Than the Most High.
He made us.
And he gave us, he told us in Deuteronomy chapter 28, this is what's going to happen to the family if you don't keep my commandments. And he made it very clear, and you can see it happening. So while he's addressing that from that perspective, all the things that he's saying there is a definite issue amongst our people, right? But the solution is always in the word of the Most High. You find that, okay, you had Kevin Samuels, you got this brother here, you got so many of them out there, but they wouldn't go into the word
itself
as a solution. And that's the problem.
They're trying to go around the word itself.
And they would have these images and these things that sounds good, and our people keep going to psychologists, and we'll sit down and have a lot of talk. The Most High set certain things in place, right? He says, just obey my word. We don't sit down and have a discussion with the Most High about certain things. In other words, if I'm a general, I have to perform the works of a general. And you're a foot soldier, you got to perform those works. And if you do your job and I do my job, we're going to move forward together.
That's right.
But this talking about these economic lanes and all this stuff, these things are not the solutions. Because you're always going to have these, it's a spiritual disease that we're dealing with.
Yes.
How can we do better as men to not disappoint our women? Because see, here's the situation. As we know, the woman is the first teacher of the child. So that scorn, unconsciously, she's not doing it on purpose, but the scorn is being passed down to the daughter. You see that? So the daughter is being raised with this animosity towards black men before she's even old enough to date or understand what it is. So if we as men want to improve the relationship opportunities for our grandchildren's grandchildren, we have to be much more careful with the hearts of our women, because whatever pain we put in her, she's going to transmit psychosocially to her daughter without even being conscious of it. So we're not just dealing with the failure of black on black love right now. We're dealing with the failure of black on black love for the rest of the century. We devalue the role of the man and we devalue the role of the woman based on European values. Because guess what? How much you earn has nothing to do with what you can contribute to the system.
So we have to come out of the heathen's system, is what he's saying, not directly saying.
And to these children. So all of us have been influenced negatively by the white man's power structure to the point where even in our house, he's still operating at a distance through the way that we think. Take economics. Money and sex, those two variables play too big of a role in our relationships. Sex is important, money is important, but they should not be the be all and end all of whether or not the relationship is going to make sense.
And what is the basis of the relationship again? It's the Torah. The structure, this goes the Most High, His Son Yeshua, the man, the woman, the children. When we put the Torah there, it gives you that foundation of growth of what we're supposed to follow. And that is the key again.
When you go back to Genesis, there's no money that's used as a basis of a relationship at all.
Nope.
It doesn't start off with money at all.
Nope.
It doesn't even go even with sex, but it mentions about being fruitful and multiplying, right? So in our day and time, money has always been, for some strange reason,
The forefront of things.
the foundation for a relationship. How much money you got, this, that, and the other. You know, are you going to go to school to get that money? You know, how much money are you going to leave behind? And then when it ties into sex, How much money do you have to even have a family?
To have children.
I need 6 figures to have a child. So if I can't produce 6 figures, then
I can't have children.
you know, and we have to have reserves and all. This is nonsense. The Most High, you can't be of the world or in the world and expect to you know use the Most High system. It doesn't work like that.
And this is where I was saying earlier, people want to fall back on the things they've learned in the system when they have a little squeeze come to them, and not realize that you have to go through those storms. You have to be tried. A diamond is not going to be a diamond unless that carbon or that coal is put through pressure to make it a diamond.
And even when it's a diamond, somebody has to put value on it.
Exactly.
Because in one country, a diamond will be worthless. Like, what is the function of a diamond? What are we going to do with it? Okay, it's the hardest substance that they say is out there, right? Okay, so what do we need that hardest substance for? What are we going to do with it? You know what I'm saying?
What value is it?
In some countries, a banana will be the most important thing because it gives you all the life that you need.
Yeah.
And the king will fight and protect the banana plantations, right? Fields or whatever it is, or some herbs or something. Whereas in another country, look, in South Africa, I think it's Southern Africa, not South Africa, Southern Africa, where the place is called Rhodesia at one point.
Yeah.
Okay. That guy, Cecil Rhodes, came in the country and he saw children kicking rocks. Playing whatever.
Yep.
And when he picked up one of the rocks the children was playing with, he realized it was an uncut diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Children were playing with this thing. To the children, it's just a toy.
Soccer.
To him, he identified that thing as being valuable. And in his system, in his world, he could make a lot of money. But to the children, that has no value. That's not important. That doesn't make full my belly. But to the guy, he can take that, do all kinds of stuff, influence politics, influence money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, make money. He can do a whole lot of different things with that diamond.
Yep.
But when you strip all those things away,
what do you have?
it's back to the basics.
That's right.
That's the important thing.
That's right.
And if money and sex are dominating the relationship is being ran on a superficial structure because money runs out. How you perform in bed, that will dim over time too. So we cannot be coming together for money and sex, because if that's the case, this really isn't a relationship, it's a pleasure contract.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us in the community have pleasure contracts we call relationships. And the difference between a pleasure contract and a relationship is a relationship requires obligation and accountability. See, when you have a pleasure contract, I sex my queen when I sex her. We go to the movies when we want to go to the movies. We go to the Bahamas when we want to go to the Bahamas. We go to the festival when we want to go to, it's all pleasure based. I see you when you want to see me. You see me when you want to see me. Relationship, I'm accountable to you whether we having fun or not. Relationship, your long-term best interest as a human being is part of my responsibility. A lot of people are calling pleasure contracts and situationships, which is when neither one of you really know what the hell this is. We're calling them relationships and they're not.
And that's how we grow up in society and are taught in schools and churches, and we think it's normal. But that's not what it is. When we go back to how our forefathers did it, it's a problem now. You know, our forefathers did it wrong.
You know, the funny thing about that, I was just thinking about Isaac. You know, when Abimelech saw Isaac and his wife, Rebecca, sporting, he didn't see none of that stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
But in privacy, he was able to get a sneak peek from the window or whatever it is, and he saw them. So it wasn't based upon some kind of, money or like he said, sexual contract or whatever. And so the value system back then is totally different.
Totally different. The relationships, you have obligations. You're required, because again, it's a contract. When the Most High tell Adam, this is what you have to take care of. I give you all the tools you need. A matter of fact, here's somebody to help you. Now you add in the love part and the comfort, and all those other things fall after. But first, it was a business. Take care of my garden. Take care of my animals. These are the laws. These are what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. When you're going to pick, you're going to sacrifice. This is what you sacrifice. This is what's clean. This is what's unclean. All those things were there, but we don't see that. We just follow what Christianity and other things that we grew up in the system shows.
So number one, we got to be honest about what the particular structure is. Is this situationship? We just trying to figure it out. Is this a pleasure contract? We just having fun in and out of the bed when we feel like it? Or is this a relationship where you're going to be accountable to me even when you are angry and upset and don't want to be bothered? What exactly is this? Because there's a big difference. And unfortunately, because we don't communicate with the women in our lives as men, once they open their legs, they tend to assume that there's some sort of a relationship here. No matter how minuscule, we never clarify that. And the reason we never clarified that is in our selfishness as men, we like to have our cake and eat it too. So we know she's developing a bond. You understand?
And this is from a man that doesn't keep Torah. So you have to factor in all of this. When you're dealing off of righteousness, when you're following what is placed before you, these things does not happen, Mishpachah. But because we grew up in a society where we're not taught the right and correct way, our men do a bunch of stupidness, and therefore the family continues to be broken. Deuteronomy 28 continues to grow, and then our women suffer, and the whole family continues to stay broken.
And then there's a lot of confusion too, where you're going to listen to this understanding of this brother, you're going to listen to the understanding of another person who may also give some important life lessons and so forth. And then your mind is going to be kind of confused as far as which one should I really use, right, as a tool for your family. But again, for me, I'm going to always revert you and everybody or point the way back to the Torah. When the Most High made the Torah, he didn't put, well, this is for this group or that group. Just it's for Israel. But whether you're skinny, fat, tall, short, rich, poor, or whatever the case may be, whatever area you are in your life, the Torah works. That's the bottom line. It works. Okay? So we would listen to a lot of different things, which is very good. But do not allow yourself to get confused, because he's going to say something that sounds good here, which is important. You're going to get someone else that says another thing. But the most important thing that you need to listen to is the word of the Most High. That's the bottom line.
But we're never going to clarify the bond, because I want to be able to dip out the back door the minute she puts too much responsibility on me. Where had if you told her up front, this is just a pleasure contract, an arrangement, she could have probably done a better job of keeping her feelings to herself. But because we don't want to see her with nobody else, we would rather run the risk of hurting her spiritually and emotionally than let her go free to find what she really needs. Selfishness plays a big role in this. All
right, so pause there. Let's go
I don't think that most people, both the male and the female, even think about things along those lines, like pleasure contract and so on. Nobody goes in there thinking that that's the plan that they're going to do. It just happens. Now he's able to point those things out, which is important. So now it gives us an opportunity to really evaluate our intentions, right?
Yep. Now we're just going to touch briefly on this, the ketubah. Every relationship must have a contract in order for there to be stability and security for both parties. So you just don't say, you know what, let's join forces and call it that. Without a contract, it's what we call he say, she say, because people can change like this. Oh yeah, that's not what I mean. Oh, I never said that. And therefore you have a bunch of confusion in a relationship. When you go to a job, what did it present to you? A contract. You got to sign papers to say, this is what I'm hired for. This is what I'm going to do. Sign here. This is how much I'm going to get paid. This is when I can take my vacation. This is when I can have days off. Everything is written in black and white for you to understand. So same way with us, when we went before the Most High, he gave us a contract. And we said, our ancestor says, all these things we will do. We went through this and in the classes. So the ketubah.
And we're going to definitely do
Another class.
another
on-
class to show how the Most High operated with Israel even before they got a solid contract.
Yes.
You're going to be able to see that for yourself to understand.
So the ketubah is, in this instance, is the contract for relationship between a man and a woman. Now, there are various types of ketubahs in the sense of roles and responsibilities within the contract. Again, if you're in a position and you say, I want to do this, this contract is different to that other position. You're not going to have the same pay, the same contract, the same hours, the same time. Everyone that is in their position has different roles and responsibilities. But the whole essence to having this is for safekeeping and protecting both parties. Okay? So this is an example that we had from before. Let me show you here. That Rebbe put out before. Open it big that you can see. And every male takes this contract and puts it to his household within what the Torah puts out. So we're all building our homes on the same laws, statutes, and commandments. So if I go by Rebbe's house, I know he's keeping the Torah, and I don't have no issues with his contract. Now, he may have 4 windows in his house. I may have 2 windows in my house because I want to have 2 windows. He want to have 4 windows. But that's not breaking Torah. That's just how I want to build my house. That's the way he want to build his house. And this is an example of that. But this is a draft sample that Rebbe has put there so we can have.
Yeah, this is a draft. We talked about this before.
As you can see.
To give everyone, give the men, especially the men, an idea. This is all based on the scriptures itself or the word of the Most High, so that both parties will be able to understand what they're getting themselves into. Okay.
And when we do the class on this later, we can go into more detail. And brothers who looking for this example can revert back to that. But just for time's sake, I'm just showing you the example of what the ketubah would look like and what is required and sign and witness. Not as the world have it, where you are doing it the way they're doing it. Divorce and all those other things, yeah. All right, let's move on. The man. So we look at the man now. The man or man of Israel. Read it for me.
The man, a man of Israel learns to be a man. A man of Israel learns to be a man by first learning from his father and mother, then by seeking the Most High and learning the laws, statutes, and judgments. By doing this, he understands how to love the Creator and the creation.
So that's the first step. You learn it from who? Your father. Your father's going to teach you. For those of you who had an opportunity to have a father, because not everyone in this world had a chance to grow up with a father. They may have, foster home or move from family to family or whatever the situation that you were raised in. In a nice way of putting it, that's what it would happen. But some of us are not fortunate to have this.
Yes. Yoel, just to let you know, he's asking, how can I get the ketubah? I'm gonna try to post it up on our website. Right now I'm currently trying to do some things for the website, so I'll try to post it up so anyone who wants to download it can do so, and then you could tweak it however. Okay.
Yeah, just stay tuned for that. When Rebbe posts it, he will let us know. In either a Friday night or Shabbat class or whatever it is, he will let you know by email or whatnot when it's posted. That way we can go and have that example. So again, we have the first teaching from our father, and then we take that and we go into the scrolls and we learn from our forefathers, because again, it says, remove not the ancient landmark. Because all of our people didn't grow in the Torah. We all come from broken homes. We all come from all walks of life because we're in captivity, diaspora. So we're coming back. We're learning. So your father may not have known this, but bits and pieces that he have learned from his father, if he had a father, and so forth, are passed down to generation. So there are various things that we all have to learn along the way in building up the structure of the man. Yes.
Yeah, brother Yoel, you bring up a very good point. He says, I will never get a marriage license again. They took nearly all my money. And when you really look at the two versus the marriage license does not outline or lay out what the marriage is going to be about. It doesn't lay out anything whatsoever. It's just a license that this person is joined with this person. That's it. And every state may have it set up a little bit different. And that's the problem. It's a license, like you get a license to drive. License to drive, when you get your driver's license, it got your photograph on it, and you're bound to that state, right? To the laws of that state, but also the laws within the country of which the state resides. It doesn't lay out how to drive. It doesn't tell you about courtesy. It doesn't teach you anything about that. How to, it's just a license to operate. That's it. License for operation. So the people have been operating without the license from the state for a long time. Yep. If they want a Philly boom, they go Philly boom. They don't need a license for that.
No.
But in the Most High's way of doing things, it's all about protecting your family, providing for your family. It's about legacy. It's all about taking care of your responsibility, your children, your land. Everything is tied into that. It's about keeping things intact. That's what the Most High is all about. Why do birds fly and migrate certain places and not every place in the world? Why do animals travel a certain way and not every place in the world? Why do they stay in certain areas? You don't find tigers over here in America. They stay over in Asia, in the East, right? They have opportunities, but they don't travel certain places. They stay in certain areas because they're following the commandments. We're the only ones that don't operate within the value system of the Most High.
The ocean stays exactly where it's told to stay. Otherwise, the ocean would go wherever it want to go. The boundaries the Most High set up. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8.
My son, hear the instruction of your father, and forsake not the law of your mother.
So the first thing is to hear the instruction of your father. Hear the instruction of your father. And we're assuming that this father has good traits in him. He's somewhat of a righteous person coming from the world. But when you're in Torah, we're talking about righteousness. We're talking about hearing the instruction that the Most High has given to the man that he may instill in his children. And forsake not the law of your mother, because she is also following the instruction of the what? The father. So she's going to teach the children what her husband is teaching her. So it's the same laws for the business. So the boss hires this person, and this person is going to teach the other employees how to make the other business profitable and not the business that they're working for. Does that make any sense? So if you're working for this company, you're going to do everything according to make profit for this company so you can grow with the company. Not work for this company, but give the secrets and everything. Like you have the supplies to build this wall for this company. As soon as the order comes in, you take the supplies and take it to the next company and say, here's some free supplies. Are you going to grow? No. So again, hear the instruction of your father and forsake not the law of your mother. Deuteronomy 17 and verse 19.
And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahuwah, his Elohim, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes to do them.
So we have to read it, we have to learn it, and we have to keep it, that we may do all of the laws. It's a structure, Mishpachah. We have to follow that. If we're going to lead, we have to lead according to what is written. We can't just make up our own stuff as we go along. We read what the law says, we learn it, and then we practice it, and we teach our children and our families.
Brother Justin asked a question about the marriage license. That's a very important but a very delicate question, brother. So I can't just answer it off the the bat right now. That's something that's going to have to be addressed because there are many variables to that question.
So-
He says, what about
yeah.
those of us who have come into the truth, married under the laws of a state? Now, why I say variables, brother, is because you're talking about you and your wife. Where are your understanding at this point in this stage? You got to consider that, is she willing to, let's say you decide to take the thing and just tear it up and write a ketubah. What is she going to say about that?
I don't want to follow none of that.
Well, I already signed this thing, so we already agreed to these things. So that's where it comes into the question about the relationship, the immediate relationship. Just put marriage to the side right now, relationship, right?
All of
The truth, just following the truth. Let's say that you're married and you decide, I'm not going to eat pork, but a wife says, well, we've been eating pork all our life. It never killed us. And those things is no different from a relationship. How can two walk together unless they agreed, right? So that's why I'm saying there are variables, because you're asking a question, but another Hebrew has the mind is moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
And so that's a subject unto itself.
So, Mr. Brika, any questions on the ketubah part? Write them down. So when we have the class coming up for ketubah, you can send them to Rebbe, email them to him, and we can address those when we have the class. So all these questions you have, write them down so you won't forget. Okay? All right. He then learns how to love and to take care of himself. This is continuing from the man. Go ahead, read that.
He then learns how to love and to take care of himself. This is where he plans and creates his vision within the boundaries of Torah in diaspora. The man learns a trade or trades and begin to build his house.
So everything that we are doing here and teaching is based upon the boundaries of Torah. What Torah says, what does the Most High require from the men of Israel, how we should raise our families, how we should present ourselves as a living sacrifice. We take all of this, and now we can draw or draft out the plan of what we want to do on this earth while we still have breath, breathing.
I want our brothers and our sisters not to let the past issues divert your attention right now. Focus on the class, and hopefully we'll come back and cover some more of these different things, okay? Because sometimes what your past experience can cause you to go in a different direction when we should be focused right now, okay? So I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but if it is, just be aware of it, okay? Just be aware of what's happening when you discuss marriage. All of a sudden, because you had a bad experience, now that becomes
a hindrance.
Yeah, right now in this conversation. So just stay with what we're talking about now. And when we're dealing with the lawyer fees and the way that the marriage license worked against you and all those things, we can always have that discussion at another time. All right.
Just write the question down or things that puzzles you. So again, the vision that the man has is within the boundaries of Torah, especially in our captivity. Because people would say, well, I live in this place and I'm bound by these laws, so I can't operate and do these things. That's actually not true, Mishpachah. Because once you start allowing the Most High to have the ability to live and to operate in your life, you will see all of the doors open up. He makes the ways in the system that you live in. Look at the examples we have. Look at Joseph.
People think that Joseph, even Abraham, did not live in a city that had laws. I mean, when you go look at some of the old Babylonian laws, Babel, the times when he lived, Nineveh, so they had laws, strict laws of death and punishment and so forth.
So you don't bow down when they blow this horn, you can die.
Not even that. They had laws pertaining to that. They had laws pertaining to social, legal matters of lawsuits. And the Near Eastern culture was very complex, not as simple as people may think it is. But they had laws with regards to households, how it operated, and dispute between people and things of that sort, okay? So they didn't just kill people just for killing's sake. there was a structure involved, right? So Abraham left places that had certain laws, just like today, and he crossed over different places and operated under the Most High's way,
guidance. Yeah,
and that's the important thing, Mishpachah.
So we have to remember, not because we are in captivity still, that we can't be obedient to Torah. That's a myth that the devil wants you to believe to keep you in captivity. But we can always, because you read, I can do all things through Yeshua who gives me strength, but yet you want to turn around and say you can't do it. Makes no sense to me. The man learns a trade or trades and begins to build his house. So men, you have to learn trade. You have to know how to build. You have to know how to function and have that goal so you can know what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Okay? Proverbs 12, verse 1, verse 3, and then we're going to jump down to Romans 10, verse 5.
Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish.
So you have to love instruction. Information is coming to you from the Torah, laws, statutes, commandments, things that will bring life. It gives you that righteous knowledge. Okay, go ahead.
Proverbs 12 and 3, a man shall not be established by wickedness.
So that means, in reverse, a man shall be established in righteousness. That's where we have to build our house, our structure on, the Torah. As men, you got to take these words, you got to read it for yourselves. If you don't understand something, you get with your brothers. Brother, I read this, I don't understand this. What does this mean? We have plenty of classes going, showing you what things are. You go back and you analyze that, and you prayerfully talk to the Most High, and you say, Father, I don't understand this. Help me to understand that. That shows the interest that you're trying to learn. And by righteousness, now you can establish your household. Continue.
But the root of the righteous shall not be moved.
So when we establish in righteousness, we're not going nowhere. The Most High got you. Romans 10 and verse 5.
For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which doeth those things shall live by them.
So it is established there for us that we have an example to follow. Moses put it right there, that we can live by them. We can have eternal life. Nothing has changed from the beginning. Continuing, the man.
He then understands his role to becoming a man, leader in his community, a husband, and a father. He learns the responsibilities of leadership, provision, and protecting.
So it's not like you just jump up one day and says, I'm going to be a man, I'm going to take care of this. You got to learn from somewhere. You got to learn these different roles, how to be a man, how to be a leader, how to be a husband, how to be a father. Okay, you have to learn these different things as you're going. A person who just came out of their mother's womb cannot be a father. It takes time. It takes growth.
And the state of where our people are today, sometimes I even wonder if the men who we see as grown, right, if they're even capable of teaching their sons and their family and things of that nature, because as you learn something from someone, like you taught me something, or I teach you something, you take that knowledge and you pass it on to someone else just the same way that you learned it, right? Yeah. But if you've never had, or if you had a generation of no one ever teaching within your community, you don't have a grandfather or father or anyone, an uncle or any male with the ability to teach or instruct, it is very, very difficult for that son, that young man to now become a man and say, okay, I'm going to teach my son.
Something is missing.
Yeah. So it's a very unfortunate position to be in, family, as Israelites.
And our enemy understands that. Because we broke protocol, because we disobeyed, a lot of those intricate pieces that we need within our life has been removed.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to fit a puzzle together with missing pieces. And the relationships that we have are all broken. Proverbs 1 verse 5 and Proverbs 9 verse 9.
A wise man will hear and will increase learning.
So you will hear what the word is saying. And by hearing, not only by hearing, but you're doing it now, you're going to increase in learning. Go ahead.
And a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels.
Because you're putting it to use, it's working. You know what? This thing is working good. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep trusting in the Most High. His word is actually showing me, rather than saying, you know what, forget about that.
And this ties in with the vision. A wise man will hear and will increase learning. A vision, you don't want to, if you're going to use an example of a lens, you don't want to be out of focus. Mm-hmm. You want to have HD vision. You want it to be so clear, crystal clear, mm-hmm. that you can be able to like even put your hand on that thing. So
6K.
So you try to improve, right? You try to improve your understanding. So if you're seeking to build a home, anything that you can get, any advice you can get, and you don't want to look. I mean, you can look at people's homes that are broken, mm-hmm. and that's probably a good place to go. Like one day I was driving around a community and I saw trash everywhere. And that taught me right away, this is not what I want for myself, because this is how the people live in their life. To them, they don't see a problem with trash being everywhere. For me, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I go there to learn what not to do.
Right.
But then what am I supposed to do? If I just learn about not having trash, I need to be able to learn about building correctly. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go and seek out the right instructions to fulfill my vision. I need to have proper counsel to fulfill my vision. And every time I move forward, I need to get something more to help me to get to another part of that vision. You understand me?
Yes,
so if you're in a foundation stage of your house, for example, and you don't have a clue about the roof, get the understanding that you need to get the foundation done. And then later on, you look into about the rest of the structure, and then the next part you look into it. Some people have all the knowledge right away, but you may have to increase your learning incrementally. Mm-hmm. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Proverbs 9 and verse 9.
Give instructions to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser.
Because now he has more information to make a better decision. Okay.
Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning.
It says just man. And that term just man equals out to a righteous person, a person that have the understanding, a person that is in the Torah, that can decipher and make the right judgment and decision for that moment. And he will increase in learning, because now he is looking for the future. Now he's going to say, this is going to bring more life to the equation. This is going to bring growth to the situation. And that's what we're trying to attain here.
Mm-hmm.
That man later goes out and finds himself a what? A helpmate or a helpmeet,
mm-hmm.
a wife, and becomes a husband and starts his family. Exodus 21 and verse 10.
If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
So you're looking here at the role. Let me go back to this one here a minute. So when we go here, it's talking about learning and building. Now that you're past that stage, now you're ready to add helpmeet. There are requirements for that. Food, raiment, duty. These things you shall not diminish. Okay, when it's 1, 2, 3, you have that responsibility now added to the plate. Mm-hmm. Because this person, as your employee, have to eat, they have to sleep.
Now let's look at those three for a brief moment, especially with the food part. Now the man may be able to have the finances through a job to provide food on the table. He may be in a position of not having a job per se, but he may be a farmer. He doesn't, he has the ability to put food on the table, mm-hmm. whether it's from farming or just purchasing the food. But that's something that must be kept in mind. As long as there's food on the table, mm-hmm. that role has been fulfilled. That requirement has been fulfilled. Harayment, either can purchase it or have it made or something along those lines. He has fulfilled that requirement. Her duty of marriage, that's intimacy. Now you can't outsource that. That is something that you definitely have to. But it requires, when it says her duty of marriage, it requires paying attention to the needs of the woman. Because there's some men who are what you call wham bam type of men.
That's
And
it.
those type of men, they have not invested time to learn about their wife. Just like you have a piece of property, right? Wham bam, thank you, ma'am, Ema. Yeah. So yeah, Ema's saying that, not me. So so what that means in real sense, right? When you have a piece of property, there are parts that's going to be dry, parts that's going to be wet, parts that's going to be have trees, parts that's going to have grass, different things of that
Rocks,
nature.
yeah, different
So
terrains.
rocks, different terrain. So you have to study and learn about the terrain to see where is the right, how to cultivate, how you can bring forth the best yield or the best use of that property.
Bring forth life on
when
your
you
property.
when you study it, it's going to yield to you. But if you just throw things in the wrong spot, do things the wrong way, you're never going to have anything good from it. So a lot of times men don't know anything about how to be intimate. And therefore, that relationship is a problem. So now she may have ideas in her head or have regrets in her head. You don't want to start a relationship with someone thinking of regret.
And you know, a lot of our people grow up and they go to social media, they go to the wrong sources to learn about intimacy. But our people, since I've been broken, we're not taught that from children. Is a shh.
As a matter of fact, it's just taboo.
You know,
Don't talk about sex, even though it's running all around you. You've seen pastor messing around, deacon, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when you go in the side of the church, outside the church, the young people are talking little talks, different, and passing pieces of paper and stuff. And they got their own little system, but they don't understand how wrong that is.
Yeah.
Why things are beneficial when it's operating this way. Why you should preserve, keep yourself, chase, and all the different things. They don't understand these things. And they feel that if I don't grab the hot bun right now off the shelf, I'm going to starve. No, there's other hot buns coming.
Yeah.
Huh? You get burned, right? You get burned, you get different things.
The men have to teach the men and the women teach the women. This is where we're trying to reestablish order. But it starts with you individually first and coming together with the other men and the women with the other women, and you learn in righteousness, not off of the system that we grew up on, because it takes time to learn all of these different things.
So he says not diminish, not diminish. That means to say, men,
It's a continual.
if you don't have the ability to do these things, then you have to really stop and think, can I do these things? Can I perform the work of providing food, clothing, and also intimacy for my wife? That's the only three requirements. All the other stuff that the world is putting on the table is wickedness.
Yes.
It's vanity.
Yes. And you have to be able to provide for another person. In other words, what I'm saying is, we as men may say, you know what? I've been single all my life. I have this job. I'm making $5 an hour. I'm making it. I'm good. I'm comfortable. The minute you add another person, what happens? Now you're struggling. Now you can't buy food properly.
Not necessarily.
But I'm saying we operate on the basis of being single and not understanding that as you're building, you have to take in consideration the food, the raiment, and the duty, and all these things, that you can maintain what you have. So you live within your means, not out of your means now. And that's what I'm going at.
I understand. But the thing is that the reason why I interjected there is because there's this perception that the world has given that you have to have a whole lot to be able to function. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Now I'm referring to the
But I
amount.
wanted to be clear for the audience that is listening, because it goes, you'll find that the way that the world explains relationship is all based upon like merit, like how much you can produce in order for you to be. Whereas the Most High never said that to us in the beginning. These are things that you acquire as time, you build accordingly. It just develops. Not just, okay, Jacob went into his uncle's region, right? And he built until he got to be a very wealthy person. When he left with great wealth. in so much he was able to even give Esau a portion of that as a means to get away.
Right.
It's not like if you need to have these things first.
Right.
These things were earned. He developed these things, and having the right woman in your life
will
and
help
family in
will
your
help
life
that grow.
will help to manifest, get
Right.
that vision on point, and that's important. Because some, like I said, some people are blockers.
Yeah. So the man himself, you start off as a boy, you grow into a man, become a husband, and become a father. That's the roles that you have. And I'm sure there's other roles that you can play as far as in your community goes. But these are the 4 basic roles that a man comes into. Leadership, you have the value and morality, spiritual and ethical, financial and economics. We don't learn these here as men growing up. Sometimes you're fortunate to have it in your life that somebody can teach you a few things. This is what you got to do. This is how you act. This is how you keep yourself. This is how you present yourself. This is how you save your money. So those things that build up to leadership, we need to be able to surround ourselves with people that have the ability to teach us those things. Provision, trades, skills, clothing and shelter, how to make your own stuff, how to provide. Like if you can't make it, maybe you can purchase from someone who makes it because you have a trade or a skill, whether it's gardening, agriculture, construction. You have a means of providing and putting stuff on the table, food, shelter. If you don't have these skills, learn so you can be able to provide not only for yourself, but for your future family.
And I want to encourage our brothers who it's kind of you lack confidence in the skills that the Most High is giving you. There are a lot of brothers who have really good skills, but they don't know whether if to put the left foot first or the right foot forward first. You have to step out in faith. You can't be frozen in your own mind. You have to step out in faith. You know what I mean? You really have to just do something, make a move, and you'll see what the Most High is going to do for you. You cannot just stay idly and say, well, I don't know what to do, because you're frozen mentally. You have the skill. A lot of people wish they had skills of some of our people. Women who know how to sew, who know how to do different things, that can turn that into a business. That's the same Proverbs 31 that the Bible talks about. People who have the skill set, but they're not sitting idly. They're taking those things and doing something with it.
You're not intimidated. You know, you see an opportunity, you say, I'm going to actually try this. It's like riding a bike. You're going to fall for the first time when you ride a bike. I've never seen nobody get on a bike and start riding straight. You will fall. And you learn how to avoid falling. You learn how to correct yourself. That is the process of growing. So in any aspect of your life, when you're learning a trade, if you don't know how to use a hammer, you know what? I don't care if I bust my finger twice, I'm going to learn how to use a hammer. Because at the end of the day, that hammer is going to save your life. It's going to help you put things together. Protection is another one. Some men don't even know how to even fire a bullet or wield a sword or bow and arrow or whatever it is. It's not only for warfare, but it's also for security. And that also falls under provision because we have to still eat. So these things you have to consider. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13, because at the end of the day, what is the whole duty of a man?
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Hallelujah. All right, let's look at video number 3 and 4, and then we're going to get to the women next.
Before you play that, the Galaxy A12, I wish you had a name. It's such a shame children are born into Yahuwah's earth without knowing the system they are born in. The parent must be honest and guide the child or children, not just by observation, but talk to the children, help them on Yahuwah, help them, guide the children, help them, oh Yahuwah, you understand, help your people, hallelujah. Okay, excellent.
I think that's just Angela. I think that's what it is.
No, that's not her.
All right, let's listen to video number 3.
the biggest mistakes we have in our relationships in the Black community, we want our partners to read our minds. If you're in a relationship with a woman who needs you to read her mind, that is an emotionally immature woman, and you need to end it. A woman should be able to tell a man what she wants and how she feels. And a man should be able to tell a woman what he wants and how he feels, because it goes both ways. Whenever you're in a relationship and somebody expects you to read their mind, as I've often said to sisters, I'm a psychologist, not a psychic. You understand? I observe and evaluate. I can't read. You see? So tell me how you feel. The reason why a lot of sisters would rather us feel them out than communicate to us how they feel is they're afraid of rejection. They don't want to verbalize it because they're afraid it may get rejected. So they would rather you read the mind so they don't have to garner the audacity to tell you exactly how they're feeling. In other words, when we get into a relationship where we never argue and there's no type of conflict or disagreement, that's a trap. You know why that's a trap? Everybody has a pain body. You got one, I got one, they got one. What is a pain body? That is an energy that you carry within your soul.
So you learn, you have these things build up inside you. He may have different terms for it, but you have things from your past that's built up inside of you. And now when somebody pushes those buttons, it comes out.
It's a deep part of your unconscious that contains the memory of every negative experience you ever had in your life. From the time you got bullied, you know, from your father spanking you in front of your friends, your girlfriend cheating on you, everything you went through negative is in this pain body, right? You have one. Everybody got one. If you've never seen it activated in your queen to be, it ain't time to get married yet, because you have to determine whether or not you can live with her pain body when it gets activated. See, this is where we date for 5 years and everything been great. We moved in for 1 month. Now we getting a divorce. You know why? Because it's easy to date when y'all don't have to share the same space.
Pause. How do you get those buttons to expose, or those things to be exposed?
I can tell you.
And from the Hebraic perspective, because you're talking about relationships where you can't come in contact with the woman on that level. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
Especially in churchianity. Churchianity will teach, old school churchianity. Modern churchianity is different. But old school churchianity will say that you can't touch the package unless you purchase it, and then you can open the package, and then you're stuck with the package.
Right.
So with the context of the package, all the craziness that's going on in here, you don't know what's going on, but whatever you buy, you keep it, and then that till death do you part. So you hold on to this thing here for the rest of your life, and you suffer for the rest of your life. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of things, like I said, Mishpachah, it sounds great, but reality is something that we have to really look at.
There's a reason behind that.
From the scriptures. Go ahead.
And he explains that. He tells you about being with somebody without having any sexual relation, because you want to see in that small space how you two collide together, to push those buttons to know, okay, this person can actually operate when bullets are being fired at me. I know this person got my back. I know I can operate at this temperature when it's cold, when it's hot. I know exactly that we can both work together well under strenuous circumstances.
But you don't know, Brother Justin just posted, he says, there has to be a willingness to be honest about what those areas are. And the thing is, before you get into marriage, for example, if a person see that you might be a successful person, they're not going to let you know or be honest, because they want to hang on to you. They want to lock into that contract. They want to get a deal. And then later on, after the deal, you got problems. So a lot of times, and it really varies. People, in most cases, people will not be honest. But I'm telling you, when it comes to the scriptures, it's a spiritual thing you're talking about. You have to govern yourself.
Yes.
Regardless of what the situation may be. You have to govern yourself according to the Most High's word. That's the only thing that can transform you.
That's right.
But when you listen to brothers like this speak, it's always going to be coming from a non-spiritual side of things. I hope you all understand what I'm saying. It comes from a non-spiritual side of things.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talking. Who has the time to sit down and reason all these different things. It sounds good for podcasts, but put a one in the chat if both you as a female or you as a male has had the time to sit down and have long dialogues about all these psychological differences and challenges and so forth before you made a move. Put a one in the chat if you were able to do that. Michael is trying to put a lot of twos.
Nobody's going to come out honestly and say, I have all of these disclaimers and problems I have in my life right here. Ooh, do you still want me?
So Dauda says one. Okay, so Brother Xavier, you sat down and you were able to lay out every single thing.
This is what you're getting.
And you had all these discussions. That's rare. If that be the case, that's rare. But on a normal basis, most of us do not, unless you have some kind of a psychology background, most of us do not sit down and psychoanalyze every single thing. And here's the other part too. Even when you do have that background, how do you go into that relationship? How do you initiate that relationship? How do you get into that?
Some people go in humble, or some people go in bold.
Is you going with because it's like you learning stuff and you just accumulate information, but then when the time comes to act out what you have talked about, you have all these. It's like the UN. They sit down and they talk about all of these treaties and stuff like that, but then there's still war. That's the question. How the psychoanalysis sit down. Do you have reward or do you have war? That's the question.
That's a good question. All right, so let's continue here. What he says. Ella, okay, hold on. Ella's going to say something.
Yeah, well, what I want to say is to the family, to anyone, unless the sister and the brother believe the help is coming from the Lord, unless the two of them decide, well, Elohim first, and they agree unto that, whether they have money, whether they don't have no money, and they believe that Elohim will supply all their needs, I think that is the best thing that he can ever do.
And some of the buttons that are pressed will reveal itself now, but then there might be some other things that the person themselves don't even know exist until they're put in a certain situation.
Yeah.
You really do not know everything. This is why the fail-safe system has always been the most high.
Yeah.
It's easy to date when y'all don't have to share the same space. Now y'all sharing the same space. And all that she kept hidden in her, or all that you kept hidden in you, now it's going to come out. And do you want to know why? The ego doesn't like to lie. 3 things normally force the ego to tear the mask off. Because when we dating each other, we're basically dating the ideal self we're projecting before the other person. We're not dating who we really are. When you meet somebody, you never tell them, I'm an alcoholic. I have trouble showing up for work at that time. I had 10 jobs in the past year. My father left me. I grew up in a brothel with my mother who was a prostitute. You're not telling her none of that. She has to figure out all your flaws on her own, just like you have to figure out all her flaws on your own. You see that? And so that's why we don't trust each other when we begin dating, because we both know we got a pain body. We both know we got baggage, and neither person wants to be transparent about what they.
And that's where the Torah provides that safe space of being able to communicate, because you as the man have a righteous heart. You're going to say, okay, this is what I used to do. I don't do it no more. You as people says, this is what I used to do. I don't do it no more. Now you can come together. You're not going to use what that person has done or used to do and throw it in their face, because that was what they used to. Now that you have the Torah in front of you, now you can say, moving forward, I am going to do this because I love the Most High, because this is what I'm required. I'm held accountable for this. So that space now becomes more easier to communicate. But when you live in the world, you don't have that. Everything is based upon what they put out there,
want to ask a question. When when it comes to dating, right, based upon his analogy, right? Do people spend, let's say that a person is going to date for about a month. Out of that month or 6 months, let's say 6 months, right? Out of the 6 months you're talking to this person, how much of that do a person spend bringing out the negative to address that first and foremost? Or how much of that
It's fixing the problems.
is it 80% addressing, I got all these problems? Or when people date, do they just give a lot of the positive things because they're trying to win?
Sell themselves.
They're trying to sell. Like if I go into, I hope this makes sense. I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to say, because I don't know of too many people who come to a date and says, I have a low self-esteem. You know, you bring out all the bad stuff, and 80% of the time, so that the person can get a better picture of what your struggles are, so that when you get to the marriage, you know, you can work those things out. When you get to the marriage, you know what you're dealing with. It's like a salesman selling cars, right? The car may have certain faults, but nobody's gonna put that, like the cars, and it can only go like Elon Musk with the thing. Nobody was telling people that when it gets cold, the batteries don't charge. Nobody's selling that part. They're selling you all the good things. Eco, you know, no gasoline. Oh, I love that. Gas is $4. You're laughing at everybody else.
Easy to charge.
Just charge the thing up.
Yeah.
Oh, I can only, did not tell you can only go 3 miles down the street. Nobody wants to sell the bad stuff. How many people actually put 80% of all the things that he's talking about on the table so that you can get a better idea of the trauma? Because he said it best. Everybody has trauma. Buttons. But when you're dating, you don't put the 80 buttons that you have that is negative out there. You switch it around. You want the person to see you in the most positive light, and then you tell them, both male and female now. I'm not even talking about females alone. Both the males and the female will always sell themselves in the best light. That's the bottom line. So the things that has been mentioned here is okay to some point, but I'm just sharing the reality with you. I don't want our people to operate with, like, if I'm a psychologist and we have to take the psychological approach to relationship. That never works. It never works, because if you really look at psychologists, most of them don't even have a relationship.
No.
Most of them are divorced.
Yep.
Please tell me if I'm wrong. Correct me. I'm willing to be corrected. Most psychologists are divorced. We married several times or single, but yet they have all the answers.
And that's a trend we see in society itself. Mechanic have the worst car, the electrician have wires hanging all over the place. Whatever trade that you're supposed to be at or be a profession in, you tend to slack off on the things in your own home on that. I don't know why that is, but that's something that happens within society. But yes, people can come in a relationship and they can put things on the table and says, this is what I have. It's very rare. You hardly see it, but people do it. They will come and say, I have this in my life. Do you want to be a part of this relationship still? And you have to be honest with it, you know, and understand that it's not something that you're going to throw back in the person's face.
The issues are from the beginning. When you truly love somebody, truly, here's the thing about love. Love is unconditional. That's the first thing I want to say.
Is it really?
Love is unconditional. If it's conditions on it, it ain't love. It's a contract. And that's okay if both of you agree on those terms. She may agree. We have a pleasure contract. We got an economic contract where you're going to take care of me. And as long as you take care of me, I'm going to be your woman. The Puff Daddy arrangement. You feel me? That works for some people. No, you have women like that. You have men like that. Right. I'm going to floss you up. And as long as I floss you up, you're going to be loyal to me. But that's a contract. That's not love. Contracts are different from love. Why? Contracts are conditional. Right. Love is unconditional. If I love my queen, what if she comes home one day and say, hey, baby, I don't want to work this. I don't want to be a lawyer no more. But if I only married her, because I like the way her law degree looks on Dr. Umar in public. You see how this goes? She's changing. But if I love her, okay, baby, that's what you don't want to do. You want to go into something else? Let's do it. Love is, when you love somebody, you are 100% unapologetically and unconditionally committed to that person's best interest, even if it is to your loss.
Now, again, we have to base it off of the Torah, because we're looking at what is written and what we are supposed to consider what love is. And love is doing what? Keeping the commandments. Because once we base everything off of those commandments, everything falls into place and everything is aligned. Thank you very much.
But you just hit the thing on the head. The man is saying love is unconditional. Is that how the Most High operate?
On conditions.
The Most High does not operate with some unconditional stuff. Deuteronomy 28 is, if you don't do such and such, this is what's going to happen to you. He says, if you put your hands to the tree and eat of it, this is what's going to happen to you. There's a conditions.
So
what he's selling us is the same reincarnation thing around his neck that he's selling us is Christianity.
Yeah.
Christianity is Jesus love you no matter what. There are laws. Laws is conditions. Laws is based on conditions. If you do this thing, every job is conditions. He's a psychiatrist. He knows that there are laws that govern psychiatry. If you don't do these things, you're not going to become a Dr. Umar. I'm sorry, Brother Shea. I'm not trying to go against the video you're putting, but I'm just showing you that
this is part of the relationship.
It's a clash with our people absorbing. Right. See, we have to absorb things which is truthful. I don't want you all to believe that people going to slide in. That's the devil speaking. You have to understand that the Most High is all about law. Law keeps the whole earth together. If there's no law, there'll be chaos, earthquakes, all kinds of stuff happening. There are laws.
And this is where I'm saying to everyone that's listening, Torah is the center. He's not going to say that. He's not going to show that. But he's bringing out the issues from a social point within the system that we live in. But from a Hebrew place of mind that we're supposed to be going, I'm bringing this to show you what the problems that we find in our relationships, because the relationship that we grew up in are not Torah based. So we have all of these issues and problems. So while we're listening to Dr. Umar here, take consideration that it's not from a Hebrew perspective, but he's bringing out some very important things that we have to pay attention to and address it from a Torah perspective. That's where we're going to get the proper healing. So this is where I'm showing.
Yeah, Michael Israel says, the minute you say it's unconditional, you're putting conditions on the relationship. You're right, brother. That's the condition.
And that's why I'm showing this part of the video, because it's a 3-hour video that I edit out certain things just to bring out, to highlight, to show you in relationships certain things have to take place in order for it to work. So this is one that we are seeing here. There are always conditions to a relationship. The Most High puts stipulations and say, like you said, Deuteronomy 28, the first 15 verses. If you love me, this is going to happen. The next verses after verse 16 down to 60 something, it goes to say the same thing here. If you don't love me, all these things are going to happen. So that's not unconditional.
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I believe in the Creator and his way.
That's right.
What if your fiance come home and say, listen, babe, I had a long conversation with my ex-husband. I never thought I would look at this again, but we left a lot on the table together. I enjoyed the time we had. I think that man might still be my soulmate. I got to move on. I might still hurt because I loved her, right? But if that love is true, if you feel that's who you meant to spend the rest of your life with, I gotta love you and want the best for you. Most of us cannot do that. What we call love is limited to your investment in me. You see that?
Yeah.
Anytime they step outside of the box we created for them, we get angry because that was not love. You had conditions on it. Yes. Your woman gained 20 pounds. Now you're going to divorce her. You say, if you gain another 20 pounds, this marriage is over. That was not love. That was a contract because it had conditions.
Stop it.
And that's where the conditions come in. So that's why I said we have to have discernment when we're listening.
Love is about saying, baby, if you get 20 pounds, you're going to have a heart attack. It's not about the shape. And why would you use that analogy about she going back to her first husband? That's anti-Torah. You see what I'm saying? It's a mess. So anyway, Brother Shay,
I love that woman unconditionally, whether she gained 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. I'm not going nowhere. Yeah, we might need to have a conversation about her health, because I want you around for our children to get married. You understand? Right. But there's no such thing as ending a relationship because you stepped outside of my perfect box if you loved her. Love is unconditional. And most of what we got in the Black community are contracts disguised as loving relationships.
How is a man looking to authentically know a woman, her pain body, what she really comes with, to unlock that version of her, and her to unlock that in me as well? How does that happen?
First of all, it cannot happen until both of you feel the other person is a safe space for you. So it doesn't happen early on in a relationship. It happens at a point, normally after you guys have been intimate, although I don't think that's a good idea. I think it needs to come before the intimacy, because intimacy tends to unlock a lot of that pain.
So again, what he's saying is, in the world out there that you have, people tend to get together and sleep around, and then things start to unlock. So what he's saying is, it's good to come together without having the intimacy. That way you can know, living in that small space, what this person is really like when you talking to this person. So you can know if this person can perform the duties. It's like you get a job and the job says you have, what was it, 90 days or something like that? And if you can't fulfill the contract, then they let you go. But as long as you stay within what you're supposed to do, now you're on permanent. Now you're hired full time.
But even with that, even after you've passed the test of the 90 days, right? Things can happen in a job where they can still let you go there are companies based on the state where they can let you go for no fault at all.
Right, no fault. Right.
You know what I mean? So they'll let you go regardless. Do you mind pulling up 1 Corinthians 3 and 19? 1 Corinthians 3 and 19.
1 Corinthians
3 and verses 19. Let's see what the book has to say. And this is important with this right there. It says, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohim." I'll say it again. "The wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohim, for it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Again and again, you all knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are what? Vain. So when we're looking at everything that it has to be the problems that we face. Number one, we have to identify that we're Israelites. A lot of us are still in denial of that truth.
That's true.
Second, if we are Israelites, what did the Most High give to us for our solutions when it comes to relationship?
It's
His law, statutes, and commandments.
Can't
There's
go
no
around that.
other way around that.
Can't go around that.
And when we apply those two things, identifying who we are, we're not a Christian, we're not a head top, or what do you call those?
Affiliation to
We're not a African centrist. We're not all these different things. We're Israelites. And the laws are bound to us from here to eternity. We can't outrun the curses. Then we will start to really see change among us as people, because you would want to serve your king. Now you have a future to look forward to. The march is not working. Everything is not working when it comes to relationships. If we just stay with the word, you can't have a kind of a hybrid relationship with the Most High, part Torah and part world. Part this and part that. That's what Christianity have been doing for thousands of years, and it's not working. This is why they keep having these revolutions in the Christian church. You have all kinds of church fathers, some opposing each other. They're having these meetings, and nothing is coming out of it.
Let me pull this up right, just to kind of support what you just said a while ago. Deuteronomy chapter 29. We're going to look at verses 13 to verses 15. All right, read that for me.
Deuteronomy, what chapter?
29.
29 and 13.
To 15.
To 15, okay. That he may establish you today for a people unto himself.
So we learned that we're Israel. Go ahead.
and that he may be unto you a Elohim, as he have said unto you, that as he have sworn unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.
So that's the formula: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Neither with you only do I make this oath, this covenant, and this oath.
So not only to the forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
but with him that standeth here with us this day.
So before, when he was speaking to the Israelites that came out of Egypt,
before you who are our Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day.
That's to us. So the contract that the Most High has put forth, like you said, you have to realize that you're Israel and that we are bound by law, statutes, and commandments. So not only to our forefathers, but to us and to the future. So it's something that was set there that is everlasting. And once we remember that, even like I said, we're watching this video, it's just to take out certain things that we can help us understand in our relationship building, the problems that we have within society. But again, we have to take it from a Torah-based understanding. Let's finish this other one here.
See, so when you guys get to a point where you're pretty sure that you're interested in taking this a little further, let's start talking about some of the things we've been through so we can understand each other a little more.
Okay.
You see that? The problem is people are very slow to disclose past traumas because, number one, they buried them somewhere deep within themselves and don't want to touch them again. And they fail to realize that they still exude energy and influence all throughout your life. So that's number one. She don't want to revisit the rape. So I'm not even going to bring it up to him. You see that?
Yeah.
That's how trauma operates. We think we can bury it. You can't. So that's one issue. Number two, if I tell him this, how do I know he ain't going to share it with his mother, his best friend, his brother? We as Black people have a very poor culture of confidentiality. We don't keep things confidential. You know, I look at my life, right? I've never discussed my personal, intimate moments with women, with nobody. If anybody ever found out about me and a woman, I don't care if it was high school, she had to tell it. Because I consider the woman so sacred, and her giving me that part of her so sacred, nobody will know that this ever happened. But I know few men who are like that. A lot of men are like women. They want to run and tell everything that goes on in the relationship. If there's no confidentiality in the relationship, nobody's ever going to disclose anything. A woman has to know that if I tell him this, even if we don't work out, this never goes into another person's ears. You would the same way. If you got a man who's been sexually abused or grew up in a foster home, but nobody knew it, or my mom is really my aunt because my mom left me on a step, if I tell her this and we end up not working out, is this table talk at girls' night? You see, so people got to really feel you're a safe space before they start to divulge that part of themselves.
It's expose culture right now. Everything, everybody is being put on blast right now.
And that's exactly why a lot of us are not willing to tell our significant others the type of pain that we carry around with us every day. Because if this gets out, it'll be used against me by people who are not for me. So in my effort to bring some healthiness into our relationship, you just unearthed my trauma for the world to use against me. Trauma is a hell of a thing, gentlemen. It's a hell of a thing. People bury it and they don't like to bring it back up. And see, here's the thing, to your point, there were 4 things we needed as children. If you got these 4 things from both parents, you needed it from mom and you needed it from dad. The opposite sex parent is more relevant though, although both are important. You needed intimacy. You needed your mother to love you and you had to feel the love. You need your father to love you and you had to feel the love. Remember, a woman's first love affair is with her father. It's not sex, it's psychological. A man's first love affair is with his mother. It's not sex, it's psychological. If my mother loved me right, I'm not afraid to love a woman when I grow up. You see that? And I have confidence that if this relationship doesn't work out, I can leave it and find another one. You see that?
Yeah.
If that woman's father loved her, she won't have trouble loving a man. And she's not going to walk around scared. Is he cheating? Is he going to hurt me? Because her father validated her womanhood so much that she knows if it doesn't work out, I can leave and find another one. Women who had their fathers in their lives in an intimate, healthy way. Men who had their mothers in their lives in an intimate, healthy way, they operate in the dating game completely different. If y'all think about the women you dated who had a loving relationship with a biological father, and the women you dated who did not know their father, I'm quite certain you can tell some differences between them. Trust, anger, vulnerability, confidence, completely different man and woman. So you need intimacy, that love. Second thing you need, and these are in no order, availability. Was mom present in your life? Was dad present in your life? Was they at the football game? Was they at the basketball game? Did they come to the birthday parties, or were they absent? Did you have parents who abandoned you? So you got intimacy, you got availability, then you also have reciprocity. Did mom and dad do for you, or did you have nothing at all? When your shoes got holes in them, did they get you another pair? You understand that? When you were still hungry at dinner, could you get another plate? Or did you live in an environment of scarcity?
So all these things is important because it shapes a person as they're growing up in life. But again, you have to take it from a Hebraic way of understanding. When you have a person built on righteousness, these things. It's rain. Wow, that's rain. These things are well established within your upbringing. So we as people become broken, and we come into relationships broken. So he's just highlighting certain things in the physicalness that a lot of our people find issues with or find problems with as they're coming in to relationships.
So you got intimacy, you have reciprocity, you have availability, and the fourth one was trust. Could you trust your father when he gave you his word? Could you trust your mother when she gave you? If your mother dropped you off at grandmom's and said, baby, I'm going to the mall. It's 12 noon, I'm gonna be back at 8. But you didn't see her for 8 days later. See that?
Yeah.
Any trauma.
Okay, so that's that one. We can go back to the slides. Put this here. All right, now the woman. Go ahead and read that.
A woman is taught by her father and mother how to be a woman of Israel first, and follows the rules of her father's home. But since we have been in this Hellenistic system, we haven't had that experience.
So a lot of us haven't had that experience because, again, we grew up in this system where things are based upon a majority of random cultures that all mesh together. So people are taking bits and pieces of different cultures and creating families. Go ahead.
So a woman learns how to be a woman by first seeking the Most High first and learning the laws, statutes, and judgments. By doing this first step, she understands how to love the Creator and values of the creation.
So again, it's the same order. You have your parents that brings you up, and they instill structure and discipline. And as you're coming to age now, you learn about the Most High. You're putting Him first. You're understanding that you have to start there in every relationship. We did that in the man, now this is in the woman here. Book of Susanna, chapter 1, verse 3, and Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7.
Her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses.
So when you have parents that can bring you up in righteousness, this is what should happen. This is the value you have. This is who you are. You're a daughter of Zion. You're supposed to keep yourself this way. You're supposed to act this way. You're instill all of the traits that we're supposed to have when we are coming into this. You're teaching your daughters. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7.
And you shall teach them diligently unto your children.
So as parents, we got to teach our children how to be Israelites. And where do we get that from? All throughout the scriptures, it tells you what we should and shouldn't do.
And shall talk of them when you sittest in your house, and when you walkest by the way, and when you liest down, and when you risest up.
So when we just finished watch that third and fourth video with the doctor, he's going off of the ways of how society has raised children without the Torah. This is how we should raise children with the Torah. So families have structure and order. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Psalms 45, verse 9 and verse 10.
King's daughters were among your honorable women. Upon your right hand did stand the queen in gold of Ophir.
So not only is David talking about a woman coming up in royalty in the kingship, but we as a nation are people of royalty.
Mm-hmm.
We have to establish that from the beginning. You're an Israelite. There's a standard set. This is how you're supposed to walk, talk, act, keep yourself. There are rules and regulations that we have to keep as a people, a code, right?
Mm-hmm.
Verses 10.
Hearken, O daughter, and consider and incline your ear. Forget also your own people and your father's house.
So we have to incline our ear. We have to listen. We have to be obedient. It says, forget also thine own people and thy father's house, because it's talking about how you were raised. Your father raised you a certain way. You take that, and now you're going to be added to a man's home.
That's right.
And you take what you've learned and you apply those practices, so now you can build up his home. And that's how we have to build our homes, in righteousness. Continuing, the woman.
She learns how to love herself, learns how to be a wife and a homemaker, a counselor and a comforter to her husband. The Torah teaches her to understand her role as a helpmeet and understand her responsibility to her future husband.
So everything that we are trying to accomplish here is to become better individuals, better people. So when we join homes, when we become families, we become an asset and not a liability. We can fulfill those roles and better equip ourselves as a body to perform in unity for the Most High.
I want to interject something here, Brother Shay. The Bible spoke about becoming a living sacrifice.
Yes.
One of the things that is taught in temple service with sacrifices is that it has to have no blemish. It has to be inspected and proven that it is worthy. But a sacrifice prepares itself or is prepared to be given completely over to another. Let me repeat what I just said. A sacrifice is prepared to be given completely over to another and is submitted to that other completely. It does not take back itself from being given as a sacrifice. Do y'all understand what I just said? So when we're talking about a relationship, you have to come with the mindset of
living sacrifice.
You're all into you're all is into it. You examine yourself, because when you look at the word, she learns how to love herself. That can be taken from the perspective of vanity. But when you think about, for example, there was a guy in the book of Judges. He was a warrior, and he had told the Most High, if I win this, if you give me victory, whatever I have, I'm going to sacrifice for you.
And his daughter
came out. And to show you how well behaved his daughter was, the daughter did not complain. She didn't argue with her father. Because she's under her father's authority. She says, Dad,
remember what you taught me? I have to follow that.
Whatever you said to the Most High, the Most High, is more important than you, and it's more important than me. So a sacrifice, once again, and she was a sacrifice, really. She submit totally because she understands the rules of how it is. This brother here talking about dating game. This is why we have problems. Because you have this thing where you just go, and if your woman change her mind, you love her, let her go back to her husband, or he decides. But yet you talk about love is it doesn't make anyway. Again, it's a sacrifice, brothers and sisters, that I laid on myself before my King, the Most High, and the woman does the same thing by honoring her husband because she's doing everything. The Most High says, "Wife, submit yourself unto to me, your husband as unto me." So what does she do? Most High, you created me. You made me to be a helpmeet for my husband. I put my all to you by serving my husband.
Exactly.
The husband, you said to care for your wife. Most High, I submit myself totally to you. I give you my all. He says to care for my wife. I do that. So the focus is always on
Always on the
Elohim
most
all
high.
the time.
It falls back on the
And you'll
most
never
high.
go wrong with that.
And that's the order.
Because you're held accountable by your higher power, right?
Yep.
It's simple. It's no bunch of psychoanalyzing a whole bunch of stuff, because then it gets complicated. When does it ever stop?
Okay.
The woman then learns how to be a mother to her children. Proverbs 14:1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh down her hands.
So the question is, what does it mean she buildeth her house? Let me see who in the chat would answer that. What does it mean for this woman to build her house? Every wise woman buildeth her house.
She gets bricks and she go out, she gets the nail and the hammer, and she start building.
She teaches and edifies. Anybody else? Come on. Everybody else is sleeping on.
Yeah,
on
Mishpachah, there's a lot of work that has to be
Helps
done.
her husband and children. Foundation on the husband is adding to her husband's home what he needs. She humbles herself. Torah life, rape children. So basically, the building of her home is two things. It's teaching or instilling, number one, what the husband has put into place. As far as the husband says, this is what I need. So the children, the building of the house is bring up the children according to not only the Torah, but what the husband has instilled based upon the very Torah.
And it must have loyalty. She must be loyal to that house, to know that no other influence is going to come in. This is my husband's house, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to see that this house is standing. So there's no two sources of information coming in. There's one source of information. This is my house, and I'm going to defend this house by raising my children to be part of this house, so they can be satellites later on in life.
Because the children is the future of that enterprise. So you're teaching everything to the children, the employees, that comes down later, what the husband has put in place. Your father says, this is what we're doing, this is how it's going to be.
You remember Abraham and Lot had divided, right? Because Lot's men were fighting with Abraham. That's a divided situation, right? And you can see that same type of division went into was part of Lot's family, because when the time came to make a move to leave Sodom,
the wife was divided.
She was looking elsewhere, right? So she wasn't loyal. She had another type of spirit that was going on. And that creates this kind of a competition and being, combative. So we got to keep that in mind.
The woman has a very important role in raising the children, the future of the man's estate, the future of Israel, especially teaching of the younger women. Titus chapter 2, verses 3 to verse 5.
The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Elohim be not blasphemed.
Now, there's so much to pull from this, because you have to understand it's a very important role. It's a big role. When people says, "Well, I'm just the help." No, you're not just the help. You're responsible for a whole lot of things. You're responsible for the legacy of that household, if it's going to die or if it's going to live, because you're going to teach the women that are around, not only your household but around you too, how to be sober, because some of our women from past have issues of alcoholic behaviors, right? You're going to teach them how to love their husbands. This is the question when we asked before, in Christianity and stuff is we don't want to talk about that, but there's a bunch of gossip going on. Who's sleeping with who and who's doing what. But if you teach your younger daughters how to love your husbands, this is what you were supposed to do. When you have your nadar, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you keep yourself. This is how you smell good. This is how you dress good. This is what you do. Entice. All these different things, how to attract your husband. Love your children. This is how you discipline your children. Based upon these principles that the Torah has established, this is what you're supposed to do. Be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to your own husbands, because like you said, you're building the empire for this home. So you're not going to run to another home and try to build your home according to this man's home. You know how some women would say, you know, I want my home to look like that. No, whatever vision he has, you're going to build up for that vision. Don't look at the other sister to try and have what she has. It's different. Different enterprise, a whole different business altogether. So know what exactly you're getting yourself into. What is your husband's vision, and what are you being hired for? How are you going to fill that role for him in righteousness? Read that one for me.
As a wife, she is delicate to her husband, yet strong for her husband. She learns from her husband. She learns for her husband. Is that correct?
She learns from her husband. Okay.
From her husband, the trades that he learned and is in his support system to him.
So it's like,
and is his support system to him.
Right.
Okay.
So it's like Adam was called to take care of the garden. What do you think Eve was there to do? Help him do the things that he needs. Okay, if he needs to help lift this branch up for me, if he needs to give me some water, give me some water. Whatever he needs help to accomplishing that goal, that's what she's there to do, assist. So yes, you got to be delicate, but yet you're still strong. Okay, Jeremiah 6 and verse 2.
I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
So that brings balance. That brings the order of the structure into a good foundation, because he has the Torah that he's building on, and he has a support system to help him build on that Torah.
I like that. That's being feminine. Jeremiah 6:2. That's right next to that, being feminine, comely and delicate. Right. Beautiful.
Susanna 1 and verse 2 and verse 31.
And he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Kelkias, a very fair woman, and one that feareth Yahweh.
So she was beautiful, but she feared the Most High. That means she respected Torah. So she wasn't just going to be some old woman just because she's beautiful, but she had that value of the Most High in her. Go ahead.
Susanna 1 and 31. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman and beauteous to behold.
So there's a balance. Nobody can say that you just all beauty and no brains, that they will say, but you have to have the balance of righteousness in you. You have to have that stability of knowing the law, statutes, and commandments, because all that will make you complete when it comes to being the woman. Proverbs 12 verse 4 and Proverbs 11 verse 16.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones.
So the people love this one with the virtuous woman, but again, you don't want to be the Vashti with the V. They want to be the virtuous, so the V. But that only happens when you are grounded, connected, learned, and practicing the Torah. Now, because you do that, now you are this crown jewel. You know, what did the king say? I'll give you half the kingdom.
Even half of the kingdom.
Because you're that precious to him. Proverbs 11 verse 16.
A gracious woman retaineth honor, and strong men retain riches.
So she retaineth honor. What does that mean, Mishpachah? To retain honor. What does that mean, to retain honor? When a person is, it says a gracious woman. That means she understands the inside and outside of the business, so that she will keep the honor of her husband's business afloat. Even if he some like with the example with what's the guy with David when he wanted a piece of bread and the guy was like no, and the wife came and said here's a piece of bread.
Oh, Laban, Nabal. Nabal.
See, that's retaining honor because she understood the whole mission was going on there. So you have to have that spirit of discernment too. Sometimes the Most High put these things in within our women to assist us. All that thing comes with balance when we have the Torah in us. Without the Torah, you're not going to be balanced. You're not going to retain honor. You're going to be building another person's home.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, the woman starts off as a girl. She becomes a woman, a wife, and a mother. The same 4 basics as the man. Okay. Now I want to pull this up real quick. 1 Kings chapter 1 and verses 1. We're just going to skip through it just to show you with the nurture part right here. The comfort part. So we'll come back to this in a minute. Let's read this here. First line, teachers. Mothers roles instill the father's vision and the values into the children. That's the role of the mother, right? As she's coming in, she's going to instill the role of her father and to the children. So the children is going to learn everything the father has instilled. That's the first line teacher. So she's a teacher. Teach them how to be obedient, disciplined, successful. All those things fall into line. Then your next role is to be nurturing, because discipline comes first before nurturing. Okay, the ability to nurture brings character and helps social development within a child to be able to thrive with others. That's where self-esteem and all these things happen. You know, a person that has the ability to go out and says, yes, you know, I can do this. But when you don't have the right nurturing that was given to you, you tend to shy away. You tend to have the ability to speak up. You're a little more timid. You're afraid. Comfort. Her skills is also about comforting. This skill set is not only for the children, but also for her husband. Okay. Now let's look at 1 Kings. This is just for this example of the comfort here. 1 Kings, read verse 1 to verse 3. Actually, verse 1 and 2. Just verse 1 and 2.
Now King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him. Let her lie in your bosom, that my lord the king may get heat.
Jump down to verses 4.
And the damsel was very fair, and cherished the king, and ministered to him, but the king knew her not.
So it wasn't for something sexual, like people would think. Oh, King David just wanted to get some heat, so he bring a young virgin in. It wasn't about that, but it was more about keeping the man alive. Yeah. Okay. So that was the comforting part of that. I just wanted to highlight. There's more to it, but that's just, I wanted to highlight the comfort part of it.
Now notice no prophet showed up to say, David, or to say to these men, you're going to cause our Lord to sin. And also, what happened to the 18 wives that David had? How come none of them was able to give him the heat that he needed to keep him going again? But that's another class. I'll leave that alone.
There's so much you can unpack from that, but I just wanted to highlight the comfort part on it. Again, we have to understand we are a broken people coming back into the law, statutes, and commandments. So I'm trying to help us build relationships in righteousness. So look at these last 2 videos here. I think this is, hold on, this is the last 2 videos. Let's see, I'm trying to hurry up here. Where's my video at? Okay, let's look at these here fast.
We got from our parents, especially the opposite sex parent, we carry over into our dating relationships. This is why nobody should be marrying anyone if you didn't meet their parents, because you got to know who made them, because you're going to begin to see into their trauma just by being around mom and dad for a couple hours, which is another reason why I don't think people should get married before they live together. Now, I know the church and the mass. Yes.
Okay.
They're going to be pissed off at you for that one.
Yeah.
But I have limits. Go back to what I said earlier. The reason why you got to live with someone, my maximum, and I tell women this, I'll say it here now, 2 years.
No, he's just giving a number. Again, this is his psychology and stuff. But just listen to the information and you process what's good out of it according to the Torah.
Drive the car for 2 years.
Yeah, you're not going to live with somebody for 2 years. So that's ridiculous. Okay, you're not going to use and abuse somebody for 2 years. But there's a time period that what he's saying is it's good to get to live in that person's space to kind of see what you're dealing with without testing the product. You're not going to be having sex and all these other things. What you're doing is you're learning. The woman will come and says, okay, this is the man will say, this is what I have, this is my space, this is what I'm working with. I need you to help me do this. Can you do this job? Let me see you do this job. Let me bring you here so we can build this empire together. She would say, okay, let me show you what skills I got. And then y'all would come together, and all of the problems that she may have or you may have, now you may be able to see, oh man, he gets upset real quick if I say this, or she doesn't respond to me or doesn't respect me in the way I thought she was going to respect me. Whatever it is may come out. Now you can deal with those problems and say, you know what, we can fix this, or tell you what, this wouldn't work. And this is where he's trying to explain. But remember, this is from his psychological, worldly viewpoint. So we're not taking that sense. We're just understanding where the trauma and stuff that our people comes with. So let's listen.
If a woman been living under the same roof with a man consecutively for 2 years, he knows if he gonna wife her.
Facts.
First of all, we men, after about 6 months, you got a pretty good idea whether this is, you understand?
Absolutely.
After a year, you pretty certain, but you might drag it out just in case she got some skeletons that need to pop out in
Just
the
in case, just in
right?
case. Right.
Right. But after 2 years, a man knows. So when I talk to women who say, yeah, I've been living with my baby daddy for 5 years, he said he's still not sure. He's sure. He just don't want to tell you because he don't want to let you go free because he know how good of a woman you are and he don't want nobody else to experience that. A man knows 2 years is my limit. But the reason you got to live together is what I said earlier. We know how to be the best actor Hollywood ever created when we don't have to share space. If all I'm doing is picking you up, going to dinner, going to the movies, going to the Hawks game, going to the Falcons game, going on vacation to Bermuda, we have a pleasure contract. We about to turn this into an official relationship? Well, guess what? I got things about me I don't really want you to know. But guess what? Now you live with her. You under the same roof. Now, mind you, y'all been dating for 5 years. It's been great. You live with her for 1 week. Guess what you found out in 1 week? You found out she don't like to wash her ass.
So again, some people don't like to take showers. You'll learn about hygiene and those things too. Okay?
This is real.
Right.
This is real. She finds out you don't like to put the toilet seat down. You find out she can't cook. She find out you got 2 other cell phones and both of your baby mamas call you all through the night and talk about their personal problems with their new boyfriends. She would have never knew that if y'all never cohabitated. She not paying bills on time. You not taking out the trash. You not spending no time with her kids. Now, when you was just picking them up for dinner, you was okay with little Raekwon, right? Now Raekwon in your house, you don't want shit to do with him now. You see this?
Yeah.
You got to live with people. You got to live with people because you never fully know someone until they drop their guard. In the 3 conditions that normally force the ego to stop lying and tuck away the actor we like to project: pregnancy, marriage, cohabitation.
Yeah.
I recommend you cohabitate first before the pregnancy and the marriage so you can really know who this person is. You don't know them.
So again, you get to know that person without this the sexual part of it is what he's saying. There is a time period that you learn about the values if this person is going to fit or not. Okay.
If you ain't lived with them, but ladies, it should be a 2-year limit. Your person.
And then what happens after that 2 year? Start again?
No, we didn't say it about 2 years.
So no life.
I'm saying with him. I mean,
I don't know.
You know. Anyway, the
Stop.
Torah has
And
the
the-
answers.
Yeah.
Agenda you had for yourself. Because remember, relationship means compromise. If you're not ready to give up or give in on anything that's important in your life, you ain't ready for a relationship. You still need a pleasure contract because you're not ready to be accountable and you're not ready to take on responsibility for that other person. You see that?
Yeah.
So a lot of the confusion stems around the fact that you like her, but you're not ready to compromise the life I live. I'm not ready to only watch one game on Sunday with the homies when I'm normally there from 12 to 12. You see?
Again, we're talking about the Torah. So we have to base this on is this person going to fulfill my vision based upon the Torah? Okay.
That I'm not ready to put in the type of time with her children that are not mine that I spend with my own. You see that?
Yes.
I'm not ready to start being responsible for how I spend my money. I normally do it how I want, and she wants us to have a budget. I ain't never done no damn budget. You see, are you ready to compromise? Because two egos that are not ready to compromise can't have a relationship. That's a situationship or a pleasure contract. And again, that's all right if that's where you are. But the minute you say relationship, that means you got to give up in order to get in.
So the structure that the Most High has put there, you have Elohim, you have the Son Yeshua, you have the man, you have the woman, you have the children. That's a contract already assigned. Like you said, I'm going to do everything to fulfill the contract or the promise I have with the Most High. My helpmeet is going to do everything to fulfill the contract with me for the Most High. And the order flows that way. So when he's talking about the compromise and stuff, that's already taken care of because you're following the Torah. You're going to do everything because the Most High has already instilled that. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. By keeping my commandments, you're going to follow everything and the relationships will grow.
We needed that intimacy, that trust, that availability, that reciprocity, right?
Right.
If you didn't get them, you will spend the rest of your romantic life trying to get it fulfilled through people who are not your parents. This is where you're in a relationship with a woman and you said, I feel like her damn daddy. I don't feel like her man. She needs me to raise her. The woman says, he's a little boy. I feel like more of his mother than his wife. You know why? They have unmet needs and they're trying to get them fulfilled through you. And you need to let him know that you're not his mom and he needs to go back to his mom and work on them issues or find a mother figure to work on them through because you're draining me. You're draining me. The relationship is weighing on me because I'm not just wife. I'm wife and I'm mom. I'm not just husband. I'm husband and I am dad. And this is why you got to meet them parents if they're there. And if they're not there, you better do a thorough psychohistory interview with your mate to be to find out what they went through in their life. Because if you find out there was an abandonment issue, there was an intimacy issue, never felt love, giving up for adoption, foster care, whatever the case may be, there was a trust issue, then you know there's a vulnerability there. And that woman or that man is going to spend the rest of their life trying to get the childhood unmet needs met. The Bible, thing in the Bible, it talks about how the sins of the father will visit the children until the umpteenth generation. Nothing is more true about that statement than in the world of mental health. Got it?
So
I want to know how a broken Israelite man who don't know if he has two left feet or two right feet can psychoanalyze a broken Hebrew woman to know if she's fit for his house and vice versa.
you can't do that unless you have some foundation to that.
So anyway.
All right, let's watch this other one.
Check your partner's unmet needs, because if they were not met, they're going to be looking for them to get met through you. And that's not your job, nor can you meet them, because unfulfilled issues from childhood can only be fulfilled through those parents.
So what I want to actually get into here, and good game, way to close that out, man. 'Cause that's good closure on that conversation. I want to talk about the leadership aspect, because a lot of the ladies, we got a lot of ladies always talking about, they're having troubles finding a man that's qualified to lead a family. And when we talk about a man who's qualified to lead, I want you to define the best way you can what you feel a man needs to actually be able to head and lead a household.
That's going to vary woman to woman. Some women want an aggressive dictator. Some women want
They'll never say that.
They won't, but they do. Some women do. Other women want a man who's more of a facilitator, who takes the lead when necessary, but would much rather collaborate with his queen. You follow? So we have to look at the style of husband a woman is looking for. And
Now, of course, according to Torah, there's no style of a husband. There's Yeshua, there's the husband, and then there's the woman, and there's the man. So we have to take in consideration, and again, he's going from a psychological, worldly aspect that he's going at. So just bear with it, okay?
And to my sisters, I would challenge them respectfully. If the man you want shows up with the ability to lead, do you have enough trust in yourself, in respect for Black manhood, to allow him the opportunity to lead you? Because let me tell you what I've had women tell me in therapy. Dr. Umar, I found a man of my dreams. Takes care of me, takes care of my kids. I don't have to work. I trust him. He don't cheat. No issues. But guess what? I was conditioned by my mother and my grandmother to never depend on a man and never let a man make decisions for you. I know he's what I need. I know I can trust him, but the conditioning in my family, the intergenerational, we don't trust or respect Black men, has gotten so deep into my mind that the very man I waited my whole life for, I might lose because I can't get control of my issues. So when a sister say you looking for a leader, are you ready to receive him when he shows up?
I remember you said when a person is looking for a righteous person, like a sister looking for a righteous man, a Torah-fearing person, right? They have to be careful what they ask for because that's what they get. So in the same thing with the relationship, you have to understand not only the level, but the timing of it, to understand that responsibility, that role. Because when you request for something, the Most High, be careful what you ask for, really, of what I'm saying.
You see that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of women can't relinquish that, even though our sisters have been punished far too long because of the white man's war against the Black man that sends us to the penitentiary and to the graveyard. Black women have had to lead on their own for 50, 60 years. So they've gotten so comfortable not having to answer to a man. Look at this now. You're talking about 3 generations. No man. Now one comes up, traditional family values, church-going man, spiritual man, and she can't let him lead because even though she's tired of being in charge, there's something about the power she don't want to relinquish. And that's a big reason why a lot of women don't have husbands. It's not because they can't find them. It's because they cannot respect a man who shows up with traditional Black masculine traits.
In other words, a person that's following Torah.
Ooh. In traditional African culture, the man is the man and the woman is the woman. So the whole snapping your neck, cursing me out in public,
It ain't gonna work.
it's not happening in Nigeria. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's not happening in the Congo. It's not happening. You understand? It's not happening in Botswana. You see? So if the sister wants, and don't get me wrong, they won't have to work. Those brothers on the continent and many of the brothers in the Caribbean, they are that traditional Black masculinity that our sisters crave. But are you humble enough to receive that? You'll get what you want, but can you let them lead? Because that goes against the dominant trend of thought coming out of the radical Black feminist camp, where you don't answer to no man, you don't take orders from no man, you don't even make a decision with a man. You are in charge. He is the enemy. So if you're a Black woman coming from a radical Black feminist tradition, the last thing you want is an African or Caribbean brother, because they're not having that. You're going to respect them and they're going to respect you. You see, in America, cooking may be something that women consider to be beneath them. In Africa, our sisters guard the kitchen. They don't even want you in it. They proud because what you consume keeps your spirit alive. So they are very protected. The kitchen is almost a sanctuary. In America, oh, I don't feel like cooking. And you see, so it's a whole different orientation. So the same thing for brothers. If you want a sister with old-fashioned female traits, go to Africa, go to the Caribbean.
You'd be surprised what's over there. Things have
It's
changed.
the same. It's the same all over. But all right. So this is what I want to kind of focus on tonight before we close. There's a questionnaire thing that we put together. Maisha and I and my sister here, we put together as far as the relationship questionnaire. Men, when you're ready to find a helpmeet or wife, or another helpmeet, another wife, these following questions should be asked. So when I present this here, you can go back over and you can look at the questionnaire, the list, and this should help you better make decisions in coming together, okay? Consider an answer in order to help build your home and your vision. So consider what your home needs will be before choosing. So you as men would know, okay, this is my vision, this is what I want, and I am going to need these things added to my home so I can have my vision met or my goal met, okay? Read 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7.
Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
So according to the knowledge, information that you have, you can find somebody that can bring that value to your home, so you're building in righteousness, okay? And to our sisters now, women, when you're looking for a head or a covering, asking and answering these questions will also help you to be more prepared and productive as a helpmeet, okay? The answers could also help current wives when another sister is added in order to build stronger relationships and the overall cohesion of a righteous household. Proverbs 18 and verse 22.
Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of Yahuwah.
And the good thing pertains to the outcome of a person that keeps Torah, because that brings growth and life to your business, to your structure, to your empire, to your household. So these can be broken down into 5 categories. Okay, so write this down. You have the spiritual walk, you have family, you have health, financial, and skills, okay? These 5 categories to help each member of the household in making better decisions, to better understand and make decisions that will benefit all involved, which will, in the long run, build stronger Israelites' families, strengthen our people in righteousness. So there's some questions that we put together to help us build, okay? So spiritual walk. What is your background and upbringing? A lot of us come from Christianity, right? Some from Islamic belief, and others may be from other strange walks of life. So knowing that you're bringing someone into your home or you're joining into another home, know their background and their upbringing. You just don't want to join somebody because they say that they love Jesus. Just like when people would say, yeah, Rabbi, I want to get baptized. They come, they get baptized, and then as soon as they get baptized, oh, I don't believe anything that you taught.
And it's not even what I taught.
Or what the Bible says that
what
you
the
teach.
scripture has to say. All I'm doing is just putting the light on the words of the Most High, whether it's from the cultural perspective or historical. I mean, it is what it is. And if people don't want to follow that, then it's on them. But I guess people are so accustomed to, to the Christian mindset that when it comes to the Hebraic, it's a problem. They just can't grasp it. It's a problem.
So know the background and upbringing. What is your understanding of the Bible? When it comes to the scriptures and the Torah, do you have the proper understanding? Or are you willing to learn the proper understanding? Don't forget, we come from all walks of life in captivity. So coming into this walk, we have to better be equipped to be humble and to learn what the scripture is saying. What is your understanding of baptism? Because some of us may be baptized in Christianity, some of us may never been baptized. So those are discussions that have to take place. What is your understanding of the culture of multiple wives? This is a big one that people tend to butt heads on. People coming in like, well, I don't want to, I've never done this. I don't think we should do this. This is this. But not understanding it is part of who we are as a people in building our communities, our homes. Do you understand the order within a family? That order is what? The husband, Yeshua, the husband, the wife, and the children. And that order trickles down. In society, it's whoever owns the house, whoever has the big bank account. There's no order and no structure. So in your spiritual walk, there's a questions, and I'm sure there's more questions. Now let me stop the video here. Let's see. Okay. Is it still better? Is that better?
Just leave it.
Okay.
Camera's acting the fool.
Cameras. Okay. So this is just some pointers for us to consider when it comes to our spiritual walk, coming together in a relationship. Okay. The next one is going to be family. Do you have children? Because you have broken homes coming from all walks of life. Some women may have children from previous relationships, and they're looking for a covering. So do you have children? How is your relationship with your child or your children, father or parents? In other words, you may have some people that have a good relationship. We separated, the father's over there, I'm over here. We're in good relationship. Or you may have some kind of a crazy background that's going on where the person is sending threats and shooting up the house, and there's law enforcement involved, and there's so much drama back and forth. Do you want to be in that, in the middle of that? These are things that you have to consider when looking or trying to join. What's your parenting skills? Some of us don't have any parenting skills. You have 10 children and you don't even know how to raise one.
And then the man has to psychoanalyze the woman through dating for about 2 years of living with her, with the children. And then he has to psychoanalyze all those children to see if they're all fit. I guess that's what has to be done.
Yeah, you got all of these different things as far as the parenting skills go, because you have so much backgrounds of this culture. Well, in my culture, because I'm from this island, or I'm from this state, or from that country, we do it this way. But again, we're going according to what the Torah is saying. So understand, we are following the guidelines of how we're bringing up our children, how we're teaching our children. Do you understand the family structure? Again, the family structure is very important, because you're understanding it's Elohim, it's Yeshua, it's the husband, it's the wife, it's the children. That's the order of things we follow. It's not my great-grandmother or my uncle over here and me. It's how the Most High has structured the family. So again, these are just pointers to help us make that decision. We had spiritual walk, we have the family. Now we have health, questions that you would ask. What is your family history? Heredity, health. Some people may have traits of this within their family. Are you willing to take on this person knowing that they may have this sickness, or catch this, or this may come upon them at a certain age? These are questions that you really have to, to think on. Do you have any STDs? Because out there in the world, all kinds of crazy stuff happen. You have past relationships that you may catch something. You may not even have any sexual relation. It may be something from a dirty needle or touching something. All kinds of different things happen when it comes to the health. So these are questions that you have to consider, okay? Personal hygiene practices. Remember you talked about living in a space and find out this woman don't like to bathe her skin or keep hygiene. Some men are like that too. So you have to know, are you a person that keeps yourself clean? Like, hygiene, know how to wash your body, clean yourself, smell nice, dress nice, these different things. Can you have children? Are you looking for a wife that can bear you children? Or are you just adding a cover? Are you just being a covering to a woman that just needs a covering? These are things that you have to consider when bringing people into a family or starting a new family. Do you have children or a child? If any, do they have any health problems? asthma or sickle cell or whatever it is. So these are the health questions that you have to analyze. People jump into relationships and not knowing that the child has this problem. Now you have to consider having different, not commodities, but amenities to help for the children, whether you need a certain dialysis machine or whatever it is. So a lot of these things you have to consider. We are coming from all different walks of life. Financial now, what are your goals? Are you going to learn a craft, a trade, starting a business, etc.? Or are you just going to just be a helpmeet to stay at home? These are questions that you have. When you come in, do you want me to work? Am I going to be helping you pay the bills in this way? Do you want me to go out and get a job? Do you want me to do this? These are questions things that you have to speak about and converse. Are you bringing debt into the relationship? I have $500,000 in college bills, and then I have another $500,000 in health bills. Do you still love me? That's the question they're gonna ask you. Bringing $1 million of debt into the relationship. These are questions. Rebbe said 2 bags. Do you have okay, I've covered the debt. What is your understanding of finances, bills, budgeting, and saving? That is the question. Do you know how to budget? Or are you gonna say, Rebbe, let me get the visa and let me go walking?
2 bags.
So these are questions that you have to consider asking. What's your occupation? Are you a student? Are you working? Some people come travel from different countries, different states, different islands, whatever it is. I'm a student. I'm learning how to be a nurse, or I'm learning how to be a carpenter. So now you know that this person has some financial stuff that needs to be worked out. Or I'm working, I have a job, I have a degree, whatever it is. These are things that you have to break down and stimulate these conversations to better make decisions, okay? Do you pay child support or have any legal matters? Because some of our men have 10 children and they have child support this big because they was jumping from ship to ship and not understanding being responsible. Those are things that you have to understand. Some women pay child support too. Credit status, loan history. Like, is your credit score a double digit in the 30s and the 90s?
That's part of the relationship process these days.
Yeah. Well,
let me pull the Carfax of finances to find out what's going on. You know.
Legal documents. Are you from a different country? Do you need help to if you're gonna live under the table? If you're gonna do these different things, a lot of questions have to be answered.
Smuggle them in.
Do you have a license to drive? Do I have to take you to every appointment? Do I have to drive you here? Do I have to drive you there? Or do you have to drive me everywhere? You know, do I need assistance driving? Am I in a wheelchair? These are all questions that have to be hashed out. Do you have a bank account? Do you know how to save the money? All these different things. So we live in a system. So again, we're just stimulating questions to ask within the systems we live, okay? To better help us make decisions. Skills. What are you bringing to the relationship? What are you going to help me in building my home? So as a man, I'm asking, if I'm going to join you to my home, how can you help me finish or complete my vision? Can you help me with this project here? When I get up in the morning, I'm gonna jump out and start working. Can you make me something to eat so I can start my day? When I come home, can I have this? Or these things you have to work out.
Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts and hot dogs?
Pop-Tarts. Yeah, Pop-Tarts. Yeah.
What are your strengths and weaknesses? Understanding what a person can and cannot do. Because you're not going to put a person to run these finances or run this part of the business and they don't know anything about management skills. So these are questions that you have to ask. Do you have any wilderness or combat skills? Training as far as knowing how to help the family survive and grow. gardening skills as far as producing food, bringing to the table, those kind of things. Construction skills. Can you help me? Can you help me build my home? Homemaking skills. Do you know how to sew? Do you know how to cook? Boil some water, something. So these are all valid questions that you have to learn to work out in building a relationship, okay? So write these things down. And if you didn't get it when we, live on this broadcast, when it's posted, you can go back and look at these different questionnaires. And I can always send this to various brothers if they need it, okay? Hopefully these questions have opened your eyes to the larger scope of adding to your household or being added to a household and the investment towards building families. So the whole point of tonight's class was just to stimulate understanding, to help us grow better in picking, choosing, following what the Torah is saying in righteousness. I brought to you some of the videos from the brother. There's more, but we're not going to show more of it. Based upon his understanding in the world system on psychology of how broken families, especially in our communities, operate and why relationships don't work. So again, when you look at or was listening to his point of view, it's based upon that. We are bringing it from a Torah based again into righteousness, Mishpachah. Read that for me, 1 Corinthians 11, verses 2 and verse 3.
Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things.
All things.
And keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the Messiah is Elohim.
So there's the order. You have we have our Elohim, you have the Hamashiach, you have the husband, the wife, and the children, and it all falls down in that order. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 28.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He have loved his wife. He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
So the Messiah, we are as a body, his wife, Israel. He loves us. He loves himself. He loves us. So in that regard, we as men have to love our wives, because if we love our own selves, we will love them. They become part of us. So we're not going to do harm to our bodies while we do harm to our wives. That's basically what it's saying. There is an order and a balance of things when we're operating as men in righteousness. Mm-hmm. I skipped that one because there's another video, but for time's sake, I will share another time. So we are here to serve each other and to be each other's keeper. All things must be done in righteousness and obedient to the laws given to us, strengthening our individual selves, strengthening our families, which strengthens Israel as a whole. So again, Mishpachah, I hope tonight we can have a better understanding of coming together in righteousness and understanding there's protocols, there's steps that has been laid down from our forefathers that we have to put in place. Deuteronomy 28 from verse 1 to 15. This is where we're trying to get back to. Everything else is irrelevant. So if you learn anything tonight, take from it that we have to get back to keeping our messiahs, our creators, law, statutes, and commandments in righteousness, in love. That way we build our homes according to how he has established. Okay, that way we have a better chance, a better opportunity to receive those blessings. Because if we keep doing how we do it in the world, it's insanity. Because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And we're not getting the results. Mm-hmm. We saw the psychologists, that's still doing it the way of the world. We see all the problems, we keep trying different ways, but nobody wants to try the Torah. I guarantee you apply the Torah, that will change. Mm-hmm. So Hebrews meeting Hebrews, it was a lot of stuff trying to unpack. The solution is the Torah. And those questions that I put out there are things to consider in choosing a helpmeet or choosing a covering. These are things to consider to build our families in righteousness. So I hope this helps.
There's a question, do I have your permission to put what I have learned into a booklet using your outline? That someone is asking a question. I believe it's okay. I mean, this is, you know, everything is here free for all our learning. It's their tools. So you utilize what you can in your notes, and whether you think it applies to you or not, everything applies. You don't want to pass on information to your children with holes in it. So something may not apply to you. Doesn't mean to say it shouldn't be applied to your children. You may want to pass the whole complete package on to your children, and just continue to pass the information on. And so
yeah, if you're talking about the questionnaire that I had there, yes, you can. Like I said, you can go back and look at the slides. I'm going to try and get it out to the brothers so they can have it for their families. It's just a point of reference where we can start building on to make us make better decisions and help us.
Yes, we will. I will have the classes posted on the website so that we won't have to worry about all the different rules and changes of the other platforms. So I'm working on getting everything done. It's going to take probably, we have hundreds of videos. So we're going to do our best to get everything up and loaded. We'll start with the current stuff and work our way back, okay? So that everyone is going to have access to stuff, because they're going through with vengeance for some reason, and they're removing stuff on a regular basis. Now they're going through all the materials and using one. And I appeal to them. I appeal to that platform, and they came back with just a very plain thing of medical misinformation. That's it. That's all they're saying. That doesn't. I asked them what exactly.
They just keep it vague.
Anyway, we'll leave that for Shabbat. The hour's late, and we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank Brother Shea for putting together something for our people to consider, and I pray that each and every one of us will take the time and re-examine ourselves. And you know, if it's not expected for each and every one of us to get it overnight. We are a work in progress. So do the best that you can, family, and the Most High will help us to make it through. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I'll ask Elder to close over prayer. Thank each and every one of you for your input in the chat. For those of you who was able to put scriptures and other information, thank you so much likewise. All right, Elder, if you don't mind.
Hallelujah. Almighty Father in heaven, we thank you again for the teaching tonight, Brother O'Shea, and also our teacher, Brother Yana. We thank you for them. We thank you for the blessing that you have given the Torah that we can learn. We pray that we bless them continually, that they will have more to bring to us. As we are about to dismiss, Father, we ask you to dismiss us with your blessing. Help all of us to have a good night rest and protect us. And tomorrow, Lord's willing, we're going to get up and give you all the thanks and praise, because we ask it through your Son Yeshua, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let
The words of our mouth, meditation of our hearts, be acceptable in your sight. Our strength
and our Redeemer.
All right, shalom, mishpachah, and hopefully we will see on Shabbat. Laila Tov, love you all. Stay strong, stay sharp. We'll see you all on the road to Zion. Blessings.
Tsunami and left sickness, danger valley. Quick to transgress, play with fire continually. The retinal scans as them advance, so that's technology. Where this up holy one knows the Almighty. Some serial killers, company, woman, laboratory. Eugenics project, side effect, torment the baby. Medicinal bag of chips with baby, greedy dummy. Marionette of the money power hungry. Humanity been trodden in Vanity tailor customize his spaceship. Reverse the order, interfere where they should not be. Backfire, sit down patient in a them lobby. There's repercussion to just think acts of iniquity. In your cup of indignation, there's no pity. The story must have no way out and no sympathy. Continue to run your mouth and now you won't see. Crucify the Antichrist, cut all of them down to sight. Stop mess with your people life, safety wise, money wise. You itching to be destructive, never have nothing good to give. Blatant with your negative, wolf away, wolf floating. Wickedly inquisitive, my life is your prerogative. No need to be instructive, don't try tell me how to live. Their vision is so